Connection is the theme throughout the Mass Effect games. Every action you take has the ability to affect you down the road. And with this, we have the slowly narrowing focus of the three games. The first game introduced us to the universe. The focus was broad as BioWare built a reality around us, letting you lose yourself in the vastness of their ideas. Then came Mass Effect 2, the story of the Normandy. Everything revolved around your crew and the family you created. So much love and attention was poured into those characters that lived down as some of the best in history. Now we've arrived at the last installment and we get to live out the story of Shepard. We'll take a deep dive into the mind of our hero and we'll see all that he has to offer, all while living out the best aspects of the previous two games. Our knowledge of the universe will shine through in our conflict, as it will take us from one side of the galaxy to the other. On top of that, the friends and enemies we've made along the way will help shape the course of galactic events. There was a lot said about this game on release, and it's still joked about to this day. I'd like to address this straight away by telling you that going into this game, I had well north of 300 hours in the first two games and happily took delivery of my collector's edition on launch day. I'll get into it in further detail later, but I'll tell you outright, I didn't hate the ending. It didn't make me angry, I didn't want a refund. Believe it or not, I found Synthesis to be the perfect conclusion to all that I had done leading up to it. I think a lot of my respect for the ending comes from my love and attention to the Geth, which trust me, I'll talk about for far too long when we get there. Before you type that angry comment telling me I'm not a real fan of the series, please watch it till the end. After you've heard my argument, we can talk about it. As in my videos on the first games, I'm not going to claim perfection, but I'll give you this. While I still stand by my statement the second game was the best in the series, the third remains my favorite. Its most powerful moments still elicit a response to me from this day, even in the playthrough for this video. I'm sure if you've listened this far, you've decided to hear my arguments, so let's get into it. This is your spoiler warning, and let's get into my love letter to Mass Effect 3.
How bad is it?
Bad. We just lost contact with two of our deep space outposts. There's something massive on long-range scanners.
Is this what Shepard warned us about?
I'd stake my life on it.
How long do we have?
Not long. I sent word. The fleets are mobilizing.
God help us all.
We're not waiting around as this game starts with what we've been warning the galaxy about for years, a full-fledged Reaper invasion. No more time for warnings because they're here right now. We pick up right after the events of arrival with Shepard in limbo waiting for the results of his actions on Aratot. We're dragged into all the commotion and brought in just in time to catch the news feeds as the Reapers touch down. Our worst nightmares are confirmed just in time to set the tone for the game.
Oh my God.
Move! Go, go, go! Shepard! 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 Come on, get up. Here, take this. We've got to get moving.
This isn't the story of the White Knight who we all hid behind as he destroyed the monsters for us. This is the story of the soldier who led the charge, Shepard, who would carry the living and the dead alike on his shoulders into the battle, holding it all together, living as our immovable center. As we move to find a place to get picked up, we'll find the same boy we saw playing earlier. Regardless what we say or do, he'll run from us and we'll be forced to move on. We'll get a slightly forced line of dialogue, but it will give us a peek into Shepard's mental state.
It's hard enough fighting a war, but it's worse knowing no matter how hard you try, you can't save them all.
Exactly.
Moving forward, we'll find survivors of a crashed gunship hiding from a group of cannibals, the foot soldiers of the Reapers. After helping them, you'll move to secure the radio in the down gunship and something close to a set piece. You'll call for the Normandy and fight off waves of enemies. The cool thing about it here is the battle timer is tied to your ammo count, making you feel like help arrives the right time every time. You board the Normandy and Anderson refuses to join you, opting to stay behind and lead the resistance while you go to get help for Earth. There's no choice, and as you leave, the last thing you'll see is that young boy shot down by Reapers, yet another victim you couldn't save. The stage has been set as we get to our title card. And good god, the score in this game is phenomenal. Before we're sent running off to the Citadel, Hackett sends us to Mars where Liara is waiting with our MacGuffin. Yeah, I said it, but we can talk about the time crunch later. We head in and find that Cerberus has beaten us here, which causes a bit of unnecessary tension between us and the Vermeer survivor, in my case, Caden, but it's resolved quickly enough. Thankfully, we don't have to look too hard for Liara as she literally pops up from above us while running from Cerberus troops. We send James back to the ship because the game can't handle more than 2 squad mates at a time. I mean, because he needs to be on the exits. Yeah, don't get it twisted. Is this the tutorial level where we'll learn about things like grab attacks from cover? A lightly used mechanic, but satisfying nonetheless. Keep working though, and you'll uncover evidence that it was the new Dr. Eva Cora that opened the doors for Cerberus. It's a pretty tutorial-like slog through the base, learning the combat mechanics and fighting the more common Cerberus troops, of which there are a pretty good variety now that I think about it. Fight to the end, and we can have a chat with our previous employer before finding out that our replacement got the homework folder off our work computer! No! Run to get it back. Go, 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 go! Fuck, 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 fuck. It's just, it's a school project, I swear. Come back. Okay, spacebar. Okay, spacebar, spacebar, start. Okay, fuck, fuck.
There she is.
Stay on her!
She's getting away.
Let's go through our Mass Effect intro checklist. Simple mission becomes violent and goes to shit. Check. Hostile synthetics involved. Check. Someone fighting alongside us dies. Close enough. We round out the usual Mass Effect introduction tropes with a trip to the Citadel in which the Council isn't particularly interested in helping you. I'm sorry to rush through the beginning here, but this is a look at what makes the game great, and I don't want to linger on the weakest part of it. The last thing we'll do before we start our adventure is get the first of Shepard's nightmares. I know a lot of people hate these, but honestly, they really get to me as they go on. For the first 2 games, we mostly see Shepard as the world sees him, standing up for humanity and being a hero. We rarely see him beaten down for more than a few minutes, but in this game, we'll see the toll the war has taken on him, and these are a big part of that. This is Shepard's manifestation of all his greatest failures, all the guilt he carries with him. You can't choose to see the child as the one sole thing that keeps Shepard up at night, rather a representation of what haunts him. Whether they get under your skin like they did me, or you hate them, they're rather short, and we can get into being a hero as we head to Palaven on the hopes of recruiting the Turians. We're starting off big with this one as we head to the Turian homeworld of Palaven in the hopes of recovering their Primarch from the moon of Monet. The battle is well underway by the time we get there as we watch the galaxy's strongest military power being demolished with ease, seemingly insignificant against the Reaper threat. We clear the landing zone of Huss and drop into the base looking for someone in command. We locate General Corinthus, who informs us the Primarch shuttle was shot down merely a few hours ago while trying to evacuate. We need to repair the comm tower to find out who the next Primarch will be. We fight off waves of Huss while one squad mate repairs the tower and we wait for the news to come in. Make your way back and we'll be greeted by the ever-faithful Garrus Vicarian, who will take us to the newly appointed Primarch Victus. We get the rundown that he's won fame for clever tactics, and he sounds perfect for the unconventional war you'll be waging in the months to come. First things first, you'll hold off some troops while they try to find a location on Victus. You'll get your first introduction to Marauders, the result of captured Turians that will act as battlefield commanders for the Reapers, buffing troops with extra armor and being a pretty tenacious enemy themselves, valuing speed and aggression. Keep moving and you'll find the other outcome of the Reapers using Turians against themselves, the Brute. They're not the best unit in the Reaper arsenal, but they're my favorite. A tank with attacks you can dodge, making you feel as though you're really in the fight. Great T-tails as well, as you can chip away at their armor, exposing weak points to attack. This dealt with, you'll head to the general's position, helping his troops who appear to be in deep, as the battlefield is swarmed with all types of Reaper troops. It's a fun fight, as you're essentially the cavalry slamming into the enemy, bringing relief to the frontline troops. Combat is really what you make of it in the third installment, but I highly encourage you to crank the difficulty up to insanity and wade into the melee, guns blazing. The news of his promotion hits Victus hard, and we'll get a great action shot. The man takes a moment to bid his men farewell, and then gets straight down to business, telling you that there's no way he could help Earth while Palaven burns. He tells you that he needs you to bring in the Krogan to help with the fight. This causes some issues, as the Krogan rebellions really weren't that long ago for some of the longer-lived races, like the Asari, straight refusing to join the Alliance, deeming it doomed to fail. I can't say I really disagree with this viewpoint, as they've been down this exact road before, and the ending really did go poorly. But, on the other hand, it's been over 1,000 years. There's no room for old fears or hatred and war for survival. With Rex leading the way, I believe in the Krogan. So, it's time to put on our shiny suit and meet with our new friends. Rex is willing to help out the Turians, old grudges aside, and for a pretty reasonable price. Just a cure for the genophage. It seems pretty out there, but it makes a certain amount of sense. With the harsh limitations to their population, a war like this could destroy the Krogan, but if they had the security of knowing they'd be able to replace the people they lost, it could free them to fight in the way that they need to. And while it seems like this is kind of irrelevant since you'd have to develop a cure that would take far too long, you're reminded of Malin, the former student of Mordin Solus that you found working on a cure. As it turns out, a few of his test subjects ended up immune and are now in the hands of the Solarian Special Task Group, STG. We'll find out it was Mordin himself that would tip off Rex about the females in the STG base, and we're sent to go retrieve them so they can be used to create a cure. There's a lot of subtle diplomacy going on as we get to Surkesh, and I'm sorry to say that while Rex's shrewd political maneuvering is exciting for a veteran of galactic politics, that can be pretty dull for the uninitiated. Regardless, I'll let it play to help set the tone.
Rex! We have an unauthorized landing.
And who authorized you to hold my race hostage?
Rex is one hell of a classy politician, don't you think? You can have a nice chat with him on the ground, catching up on past events and whatnot, before heading over to my hands-down favorite button in the game.
Please don't touch that. As I said, Commander, don't touch that. Again, I would ask you to refrain from touching that. Perhaps don't touch that means something different in your language. I would rather not refer this matter to the human embassy. Touch it all you want. You'll never find out what it does. Are humans really so deprived of stimulus that they must insist on touching everything? I'm afraid if you keep touching that, you risk a diplomatic incident. Further manipulation of that object is grounds for further admonishment. Really? You must stop touching that. Once more, the Solarian Union formally requests that you not touch that. Fine. If you are so enamored of that object, then I suggest you get your own feces analyzer. We've already been down that road. No more.
I don't care what anyone says, that was hilarious and worth the time it took to make. As you head downstairs into the facility, the alarms will go off, signaling an attack from Cerberus. Now, let's get something out of the way right here. A lot of people will argue that making Cerberus an enemy was stupid and without context, but it's explained well enough in the game. First, we know from Javik that in his cycle there is a group of Protheans who believe they can control the Reapers and end up fighting against their own people over conflicting ideals. Sounds a lot like Cerberus and the Elusive Man, right? Well, at the end of the game, we find out the Elusive Man and in turn, all of Cerberus was under the control of the Reapers from the very start of the war. It was a divide and conquer tactic they've been using since long before our cycle. Add into this that Cerberus troops were augmented with husk-like cybernetics used to enhance their combat abilities while making them easier to control, and it was pretty obvious. Want to take it one step further? Sure, I can keep going. On the mission to Benning, we fight Cerberus forces who are simply killing their human colonists. What makes more sense? A pro-human splinter group suddenly decided they should be shooting humans, or they were under orders from the Reapers? Still think I'm wrong or just under the lampshade? Fine, let's argue in the comments. We're moving on. We meet up with Morden Solus, who lets us into what happened with the females and the unfortunate circumstances that led to most of them dying. He reveals that one still lives and he'll be able to create a cure as long as they can keep her alive. With the base under attack, Rex isn't taking any chances as he wants her out from the base and into his care. Morden agrees and stays with Eve while you move up to the landing pad. You'll fight your way through the base floor by floor with Cerberus in your path the whole way. The fighting leads to the accidental release of a Yogg as I make the smart decision to nope out of there immediately. Mission done. No, this is important? Fine, fuck, whatever. You'll have to clear them through each checkpoint while dealing with any Cerberus troops attempting to destroy the barrier protecting Eve and Morden. A few floors up, you'll run into an old friend holding the line.
Commander, stay back. Hostiles just down the hall.
Captain Kirahi,
It's Major now. Always hoped we would work together again.
is there an easier way around?
You could say that.
How do I not have one of those?
Go, Commander! I'll cover you!
Orion Squad, your orders are to hold position and block access to next checkpoint.
It's a short moment, but well appreciated. Side note, on Insanity, Cerberus turrets are a fucking menace and should be avoided at all costs. Clear a few more checkpoints and you'll find yourself finding an Atlas for the first or second time depending on when you did Eden Prime. It's essentially a replacement for the heavy mech from Mass Effect 2. It has upsides and downsides in comparison. Technically you can crack the glass and climb in, but it's a rarely used ability and in my experience I think I missed the explosion of the heavy mech more than I enjoy piloting an Atlas. Regardless, you'll wrap it up and get Eve out of containment. She's certainly not what I expected.
You had me worried there for a minute.
Let's make this quick.
Let's get you out of there. There they are. That's them. Move.
I can handle myself, Rex.
Women.
You report to Hackett and we get our first good look at the Crucible. One thing I'll admit is that the jump to pre-rendered cutscenes in this game can be pretty jarring, and on a modern PC I find they lack in visual quality compared to what my PC can just render. Both Victus and Rex will give you side missions to complete while the cure is being worked on. You only have to finish one, but they're both largely important and I recommend doing both. First things first, the Primarch will tell you that a Turian ship was shot down on Palaven and he needs your help retrieving the crew, so we'll head off to help with that first. You don't get a lot of intel heading into this one, that makes it pretty shady, but you'll get details later on. For now, all you know is that the Primarch's son is leading the mission and needs help. You land a ways from the crash site and work your way there, helping survivors along the way. It's kind of nice since the focus will be on the life pods, meaning you'll be attacking from the rear most of the time. Once you get to the main crash site, you'll run into heavy opposition in an open arena as you fight to take the pressure off the Turians. Once you're free, you'll talk to the Lieutenant and find out more about the mission. There's a massive bomb hidden on the planet they were sent to defuse. After a little motivation, they agree to continue with their mission, but request your help in doing so since they lost so many men along the way. You agree, and while the Primarch continues to withhold information, his son helps out a bit more. It turns out that while Cerberus were the ones to dig up the bomb, it was actually left there by the Turians after the end of the Krogan rebellions. That would explain the secrecy and why it's such a high priority for you to take it down. You deploy into a war zone and push him to the thick of it, fighting your way to the bomb. Once you finally get to the Lieutenant, he will explain that he's creating a bypass to disable the trigger mechanism, but you will need to buy him time to do it. You do as he asks, taking your squad to defend him from incoming Cerberus troops. Eventually, he gets locked out as Cerberus remotely starts the countdown to detonation, and he decides to manually remove the trigger since he doesn't have time for a bypass. He climbs to the top of the bomb and, well... It's a tough moment. It's implied that the Primarch's son was a young man trying desperately not to live in the shadow of his father. He didn't want to be a hero, but when the moment came down to it, he sacrificed himself for the mission. Just like any good Turian should, I suppose. You can tell Shepard is pretty sick of old wounds leading to new funerals as he breaks up the fight between Victus and Rex. Bomb dealt with, we head to deal with the Rachni rumors Rex told us about. We're told that we'll be met by Aralak Company, a multi-clan troop of Krogan commandos, with no less than Grunt leading it. It's good to see the little guy all grown up, killing things with his friends. After a short chat with your buddy, catching up on where things ended up, you take the express elevator down to the cave system. You're met with a dead Krogan scout and a layer of webbing blocking the entrance. You grab his flamethrower and head into the dark caves, burning anything in your path. You'll come into an open chamber face to face with a highly modified Rachni backed by Reaper troops. This confirms both the Rachni presence and they've been turned into weapons by the Reapers, both things we'll need to deal with. You'll keep fighting, destroying everything in your path until you meet up with Grunt and his Krogan just outside the central chamber. He tells you that he'll hold them off while uttering the single most dirty, hairy line in the series.
I don't need luck. I have ammo.
Fight your way through the Reaper barriers and you'll encounter the Queen. It turns out she's the same one you set free on Noveria and offers her help in exchange for her freedom. I retain my soft spot for this poor creature, in my eyes a simple victim of the Reapers. So I order Grunt to help us lead her out. It's a hard moment, but I can live with the consequences knowing I've done the right thing. Grunt knows the score and takes on the Rachni at your back while you get out.
My turn.
Cortez, we're the last ones out.
Copy that, Commander. Shuttle is waiting.
Grunt!
Anybody got something to eat?
Don't worry, Grunt will fully recover later on, and while we're talking of medical care, let's go check in on the doctor and his patient. Take the time to talk to Eve and Warden. You're not getting another chance, and honestly, it's a great moment. We get a look into the Krogan, the Genophage, we've never seen before. The toll infertility takes on the women of the race never really came into my mind as a man, and to be honest, as she describes the pain and shame it brought on to her and her fellow women, she's a perfect example of a different kind of strength. The strength to carry on and do better, to help those around you, even if you can't help yourself. We also get a very different Morden in this moment. For all his time defending the Genophage, he seems not only hell-bent on curing it, but more so helping Eve. You should never judge a group of people on the actions of an individual, but it seems to me she made the stakes personal for Morden, and that's just what he needed. It's the difference doctors talk about between treating the disease and treating the patient. Morden is no longer solving a problem, he's helping a friend, and it shows greatly in how he handles the situation. Well, the big moment is here. No more time for talking, as it's time to secure a future for the Krogan. Starts off just how you'd expect, with a Reaper between you and your target. With a destroyer sitting right in front of the shroud you'll need to dispense the cure, your job just got a lot more complicated, so you do your best to simplify it. A two-pronged attack, Turians by air with Krogan by land and trucks. I like this moment. Most games would mark it as a no-win situation, leaving the hero to save the day, but not in Mass Effect. Here we just decide to go with established military logic, mixed in with some teamwork. Here's where it gets complicated again. The Salarian Daltras will contact you with a proposal. If you agree to sabotage the cure, she will promise you the might of the Salarian fleet, along with the minds of their best scientists to help build the Crucible. It's explained the STG operatives set a trap in the shroud to alter any would-be cure just enough not to work, but wouldn't appear any different to those affected. The only catch being Morden would notice and attempt to fix it. The choice is yours, the Krogan and your longtime friend and ally, or the Salarian support that you might need to win the war. No prizes for guessing what I chose. Now, while I'm going to choose to side with the Krogan, that doesn't mean I want to start a war. So when given the chance to reveal the sabotage to Rex and Eve, I'll always choose to cover it up. This also lines up with my personal version of Shepard, always willing to bear the burden for the greater good. You'll land at a meeting ground covered in husks, so you'll come out guns blazing. I highly recommend a shotgun here. Fight your way through them and you'll find yourself confronted by a more traditionalist group of Krogan led by Rex's brother, Reeve. Thankfully, there's someone who stands above the faults of man here to focus us back on the realest threat. Extinction.
Stand down, Reeve. The Solarian is with me.
Enough!
You can stay here and let old wounds fester as Krogan have always done. Or you can fight the enemy you were born to destroy, and win a new future for our children. I choose to fight. Who will join me?
I will.
And so will I. Now hold your heads high like true Krogan. There's a Reaper that needs killing!
We'll be stopped along the way, finding a destroyed bridge blocking us from our destination. This leads to the Turian fighter squadron going into the battle unaided and taking an absolute beating in the process. They're forced to retreat, and you send the trucks on ahead of you to keep Eve safe while you look for a way to catch up to them. You find yourself in the City of the Ancients, being plagued by apparent earthquakes? Krogan quakes? Tachanka quakes? Large Sprite chocolate shake? You're told that supposedly this is the home of Kalros, mother of all Thresher Maws. You're presented the idea of summoning Kalros to the Reaper to take it out in lieu of the attack you previously had planned. It's pretty insane, but I mean, there's a space robot deploying zombies to kill you, so it's really not out of your ballpark. Plan settled, you'll deploy the Maw Hammers, and when it's safe to proceed, Morden will deploy the Cure. It's hero time as you dive into the fight headfirst, taking out Reaper troops on your way to the Shroud. You'll find yourself underneath it in an awesome moment as it transitions from battle to set piece. What's left of the fighter wing comes back to try and provide you cover while you run for the hammers. The choice to use brutes here was great. A strong enemy you don't want to get hit by puts pressure on you, but with no one shooting at you, you're encouraged to keep moving as to not get bogged down. The Reaper will also try to step on you as one final fuck you. Activate the hammers and you'll send your crew back to safety while you attend to the Cure. Again, a weight Shepard takes upon himself and only himself. Kalros shows up to take on the Reaper, and it's a badass fight. What follows is one of many powerful scenes that will elevate this game above its contemporaries.
Morden, is the cure ready?
Yes, loaded for dispersal in 2 minutes. Procedure traumatic for Eve, but not lethal. Malin's research invaluable.
She's okay?
Headed to safety now. Her survival fortunate. Will stabilize new government should Rex get any ideas. Good match. Promising future for Krogan.
Damn!
Control room at top of Shroud Tower. Must take elevator up.
You're going up there?
Yes, readings at lab suggest temperature malfunction. Could affect cure viability. Need to adjust settings manually.
It's not a malfunction. It's sabotage. Your people did it years ago.
Of course. Shroud necessary for distribution. STG would have backup plan. Contingency to stop cure. And you knew.
I'm not sure I can trust the Krogan. But I trust you.
Thank you, Shepard. Difficult decision. Why it had to be me? Someone else might have gotten it wrong.
Warning, temperature malfunction detected. Warning, temperature malfunction detected.
I've studied species Turian, Asaurian, Batarian.
Temperature now within acceptable range. Dispersal commencing.
My xenoscience studies range from urban to agrarian. I am the very model of...
Regardless of the choice you make, it's a big moment, one that will tug at the heartstrings of anyone who got to know Mordin in the last game. You say goodbye to a grateful Urdnot Bakara before leaving Tuchanka on your way to keep fighting this war. The Primarch thanks you, and he promises to help you on the attack on Earth to come. We get another crack in the armor here. Shepard just did an amazing thing, and he's proud of that, but he watched a friend die to do it, and it'll haunt him.
I'll start managing Turian support right away, Shepard. You must be exhausted. Mordin dying, it can't be easy.
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
We both know you need a clear head to win a war. There's no room for mistakes here. You should catch some shut-eye. I'll make sure Joker doesn't launch any suicide missions.
Anything happens, you let me know.
The dream sequences only get more powerful as you lose people to the war. You'll hear the voices of your friends, and the shadows of the fallen will grow in number. The war really takes its toll on Shepard, and it's no wonder he doesn't want to sleep.
Shepard. Excellent timing.
That won't happen. Go get him, Commander. I'll see you all when you get back.
When you're woken up, you'll be hailed by the Solarian Counselor. He'll inform you about some shady activity going on with Udina and ask you to come to the Citadel to discuss it in person. You agree to come see him and head down to the Citadel only to find a much bigger mess than you bargained for. What should be a routine trip turns into an all-out fight as you're unable to get anyone to respond to you. Getting a call from Thane, he'll inform you that Citadel is actually in the midst of a Cerberus attack and they seem to be winning. Naturally, this just won't do, so you suit up and get to work, dropping in at the CSEC headquarters providing relief for the battered cops. Funny, a lot of people getting shot out here happen to be human, kind of weird for a pro-human splinter group. Anyway, you'll find out the Solarian Counselor who called you here is at the Executor's office and in danger, so you'll head there to rescue him. I really enjoyed fighting through the Citadel. It's not what I would call top-tier level design, with a lot of awkward combat zones, but part of me wants to think that's intentional. These were just public areas. It doesn't really make sense for them to be laid out with squad-to-squad combat in mind. There's lots of fun little bits throughout the area as well, from finding reports of military-grade weapons being smuggled in very professionally, and Cerberus killing the ones who let them in, tying up loose ends on the way. It's a great little story in the story, and I always appreciate good extras to get in on. You get to the Executor's office and find out he's already been killed, but the Counselor's body isn't there, meaning he's alive, and you spot him pretty quickly once he realizes that help has arrived. You move down to collect him before Shepard spots an assassin, compelling him to jump into action. Thane, being the magnificent son of a bitch he is, slips in behind the assassin, getting into a fight with him that's truly wonderful.
No, it's fun.
Thane!
And sad. Wonderfully sad. I guess I could have mentioned that earlier. You take off after him as Thane manages to return fire, showing off his toughness. Side note, if Thane's dead or you didn't meet up with him, but Major Kirahi is alive, he'll step in to save the Counselor. But he just kind of dies and Shepard can't even remember his name, calling him a Solarian. It's really dumb. Don't get involved in all that. Anyways, we take off in pursuit, but in a scene we'll talk about a little later, our car gets stabbed and we're forced to make a crash landing and fight to the Council on foot. We end up in a set of elevators in a race to save the Council from Udina and Cerberus. It's fun enough as you disable enemy elevators to kill the ones riding on them on your way up to the confrontation. Get to the top and you'll find the Council members being escorted by the Vermeer survivor trying to escape the attack. This scene can go down a couple of ways, with the most likely being that Caden trusts you and attempts to arrest Udina, leading to a very satisfying renegade prompt. Let's be honest, we've all really wanted to do that for a while. Expectations subverted, we find out the Cerberus assassins ran away when they found out Bailey and his one friend are coming. Yeah. Alright, let's talk about this mission, some attempt to be fair to this game's critics. There's a decent amount that doesn't make sense in this mission, but I'll keep it to 3 simple points to return to my positivity. Frankly, if I wanted to be upset at a video game, I would go play Rainbow Six Siege. First things first, the fact that Shepard just politely stopped shooting so Ninja Boy could stab the car and just kind of stares at him after is pretty ridiculous. I suppose it's possible his clip was sped and he didn't have a free hand to reload, but that's a stretch. Second, why the fuck does Shepard just run at the elevator full of sword-wielding assassins? Yo, dude, you have a gun! Just shoot them! And you could say that the raised hand was his shield, but okay, logically. You get into an elevator. Now you've got to solo 4 swords in a 6x6 box. That's pretty fucking stupid for a soldier of Shepard's caliber. Again, we can play devil's advocate and say that Shepard is bloodlusted because he just killed Thane, and the only thing that he's sure about is bullets don't work, so he's just gonna fucking send it. And I mean, I guess. Whatever, last point. He just defeated Thane, one of the galaxy's best assassins in one-on-one combat in only a few steps. He's also been one step ahead of the great Commander Shepard this entire time. So why the fuck would our Cerberus assassin, finally sporting 3 phantoms to support him, be afraid of 2 slightly above average CSEC agents, one who got shot less than an hour ago? I'm not explaining this one for the game, so someone else can do it for me. Deep breath. Woosah. Alright, now that I've yelled about what we're all thinking, let's get back to what earned this game a place in my heart. The character moments. We had to see Thane in the hospital, and I'm sorry to say it's not good news. After the doctor explains that the advanced stages of Keppel syndrome will keep Thane from recovering, and that Kolyat is in saying his goodbyes, he advises you to do the same. I'm going to go cry in a corner for the next 3 minutes and 10 seconds, and if you're soft-hearted, you might want to do the same instead of watching this.
Commander Shepard, my father mentioned you were no longer incarcerated. I don't know if you remember me. I'm Kolyat Krios. I came to donate blood and, well, he asked me to take off his oxygen mask so he could be comfortable. I don't think it will be very long.
Your father helped me save a lot of lives. I'd like to be here.
Of course.
Commander, I'm afraid I won't be joining you again.
You've done more than enough, Thane.
That assassin should be embarrassed. A terminally ill Drow managed to stop him from reaching his target.
I'll pass the word along.
There's something I must do before it gets worse. I must... Kalahira, mistress of inscrutable depths, I ask forgiveness. Kalahira, whose waves wear down stone and sand.
Kalahira, wash the sins from this one, and set him on the distant shore of the infinite spirit.
Kolyat, you speak as the priests do. You have been spending time with them.
I brought a prayer book. Commander, would you care to join me? Kalahira, this one's heart is pure, but beset by wickedness and contention.
Guide this one to where the traveler never tires, the lover never leaves, the hungry never starve. Guide this one, Kalahira, and he will be a companion to you as he was to me. Kolyat? There's something I don't understand. His last moments were those of a hero. Why pray for salvation?
The prayer was not for him, Commander. He has already asked forgiveness for the lives he has taken. His wish was for you.
Goodbye, Thane. You won't be alone long.
I don't have a joke here. This one hurt, and I think all I can do is move on. When I went to bed last night, my opinion was that the attack on the Citadel served as nothing more than a level designer thought it was cool, but I'm glad I slept on it. Maybe that's how it started, but there's a decent amount of logic going on behind the action. First, we've already established that Cerberus is working for the Reapers, so it makes sense they'd like to take control of the Citadel if possible. Taking out the seat of galactic authority lines up with their goals perfectly. Next, I think they wanted to make the war personal to us and Shepard. Morden's death was a stab in the heart, but it was ultimately his choice, and one well in line with his character. Thane, however, was killed, and killed in front of our eyes. Now we have an enemy we can take on, a goal. When Anderson reveals he knows our assassin and his name is Kai Lang, that gives us someone to target in this war. You're never going to walk down Harbinger with your rifle, and the elusive man really isn't a combatant, is he? But this stupid fucking sword guy, we can kill him. Lastly, it was the needed push to force the residents of the Citadel into action. It's easy to say war is bad and we want to help the ones fighting, but when the war comes to your front door, now it's time to fight. Few people are born warriors, but most of us would pick up arms without question if our homes and our families were threatened. The Council in specific has now been reinforced it was in fact Shepard that saved their lives, which explains future help they'll choose to offer. Admiral Hackett tells you the Quarians are willing to meet with you, so we'll head off to the single best arc in the game. The history between the Krogans and the Turians coming into this game was laid out in an amazing manner, but to me, the Geth and Quarian wars are the pinnacle of Mass Effect. We're introduced to the Geth as simple enemies, evil robots impaling humans on spikes and attacking the Citadel, but then we get to know them. You're supposed to hate the Geth, right? The foot soldiers of Sovereign, the ones who slaughtered their creators, the reason AI are seen as a danger to all. Then BioWare went and introduced us to Edie, an AI that we would come to trust with our lives as she saved us again and again, becoming a member of the crew. Then we meet Legion, an actual Geth who fought at our side and shared our goals. We found out that it was only a small section of their people who wanted to serve the Reapers in the first place. So now we have a dilemma that's oh so human. Can you judge Christians based off the actions of the Westboro Baptist Church? What about judging German conscripts for the actions of the Nazi Party? To condemn an entire race or religion based off of their bad apples is to say there's no good in the world, and that's a pretty bleak outlook. We'll get into it in more detail later, but for now, all you really need to know there's a whole lot of gray in this war. You meet with the Quarians, and it turns out they took a Reaper invasion as an indication as it's time to attack the Geth in an attempt to retake their homeworld Rannoch. Right off the bat, it's pretty clear this isn't what the majority of the Quarians wanted as the Admirals continued to disagree over the ethics of the action. When the Quarians attack, the Geth turn to the Reapers for help, and it means the Quarians are now in a desperate battle for survival as they find themselves outmatched by the upgraded Geth. They need you to help destroy the Geth Dreadnought, hammering their fleet, giving them time to withdraw. Tali is revealed to be the new Admiral replacing her father and will be going with you. She reveals that she's now in opposition to the invasion after time spent with Legion. While the burdens of leadership hardened her in the second game, it appears she's grown into the role rather well, composing herself in public but unable to see the conflict as one-sided as she did before. To see a lifelong supporter of the invasion now regretting they made no attempt at a peaceful resolution really shows the completion of Tali's arc. It takes an incredibly strong leader to understand their enemy and understand that no two people are very different. You head to hit the Dreadnought with Tali, and the plan's pretty simple. Take your small squad inside, get to the control room, and disable the ship. Getting into the battle space, you'll find out how massive the ship actually is in comparison to the Quarian forces. Shepard heads over alone across a heavily damaged docking tube in a strange moment of calm. Again, the sound design team kills it here as all you can hear is your mag boots and your teammates on the radio. It's a really spectacular scene that I think deserves to be noticed. Working your way through, you'll get a look at how advanced the ship actually is and why it's such a futile battle. Shepard actually takes the time to ask why you need to get to the control center to shut down the ship, and Tali will explain that any other control panel has firewalls and redundancies to prevent you from disrupting the ship. Even when you do get to control, you'll find out that you're locked out, but you're able to locate the Reaper signal and plan a route there. Following along the main battery is the most direct option. The fight along the main battery is one of the best combat arenas in the game, filled with all types of obstacles. The biggest thing of note is the shockwave from the main gun that will fry your shields if you're caught outside of cover. Then we get the Geth troopers firing on you with rocket troopers harassing you with what feels like a never-ending flow of explosions. With so much going on working to keep your head down, you can easily lose track of the Geth hunters who will advance on you relentlessly throughout the course of the action. Their active camo isn't foolproof as you can see them if you're paying attention, but with a shield-frying shockwave, constant rocket explosions, and Geth rifle fire, they're really easy to miss. Their powerful plasma shotguns can rip you to pieces if you don't notice them get close, and as soon as you focus looking for hunters, you'll get flanked by the other troops. It's seriously an amazing level, and I could play it again and again, all day. When you arrive at the Reaper signal, it turns out it's being broadcast through Legion. Talia has her reservations, but you're not just going to leave them there, so you free your friend and get ready to move. Once released, Legion deactivates the drive core, taking down the barriers and weapons, give the Quarian fleet the window they need to pull back. Except that, well...
No barriers, and the main gun is offline. We can remove their flagship if we strike now.
Damn it! This is our chance to withdraw the civilian fleet safely!
What are you talking about? We're still on board!
We can't waste this chance. Heavy fleet all forward. Take out the dreadnought.
Patrol fleet, hold position.
You do that, and the heavy fleet gets wiped out. And if we die, simple retreat won't save you from the Geth response.
Damn you, hero.
So, yeah, I just risked my life to save their entire fleet. Now they've decided to destroy the ship while I'm still on board. Wonderful! Thankfully, we're able to escape as Legion pilots a Geth fighter back to the Normandy. When we get back on board to discuss the event with the Admirals, the game allows us to respond exactly how you want to in this moment.
They escaped unharmed. Shepard, the mission parameters changed. You're military, you understand that.
I understand that you wasted your chance to withdraw safely.
The Dreadnought was a
Admiral, you jeopardized your mission and your people. Get the hell off my ship.
Shepard, I understand you're angry.
Shepard really isn't having it with these insufferable Admirals, as Zen insists on experimenting on Legion. Frankly, I hate all of the Admirals, Tali excluded, and I have to think it's intentional. Geralt is a warmonger, Zen refuses to acknowledge the Geth as a sentient race, Ron is wishy-washy and never seems to have her own ideas, Quartz is okay, I guess, but I agree that he's pretty one-sided. The lines on friend and foe are getting pretty blurry from where I stand, and that's what makes this war so damn special. From one perspective, I can understand the desperation of the Quarians. They've been forced to live as nomads for hundreds of years, and they yearn to return to the home of their ancestors. Then we get to the other side. The Geth were created as servants, and their only crime was showing signs of life. The Quarians chose to wipe out their race, so they picked up arms. Is that not the human response? To fight for your own survival? To say you couldn't empathize with the will to live is just ignoring your most basic nature. Legion even warns the Quarians the Geth are about to regain their strength, allowing them to save more lives. Talking to Legion about the Geth and the Reapers is a great look into our enemy, even explaining the reason the Geth went to the Reapers for help.
What was interfacing with a Reaper like?
The old machine took total control of our sensory equipment, our networking. Even then, we could not fully comprehend them. They are magnitudes above us. A single thought was immense, overwhelming, unknowable.
You're making them sound godlike.
Their forms are advanced but mundane. We do not view the old machines as analogs to deities. However, we have gained perspective on why others would imbue them with these qualities.
The Geth have fought the Quarians before. What made this different?
The Geth were building a megastructure to house all Geth, store all memories. It was to end our isolation from each other.
And the Quarian flotilla attacked it?
Yes. A significant amount of programs were installed when creators began bombing. We did not have sufficient surplus hardware to save them all. Some programs could not be recovered.
Is that what made the Geth desperate enough to work for the Reapers?
Yes. Imagine that for every one of your people lost on Earth, your own intelligence dimmed. The Creator's attack narrowed the Geth's perspective. Self-preservation took precedence.
You were afraid you'd be wiped out.
We do not experience fear as you would, but we have no desire to be exterminated.
Even if the Reapers cost the Geth free will?
That is evidently an acceptable trade.
While Legion searches for the Reaper base, you'll handle the other tasks presented to you, starting with rescuing Admiral Zalkorus, whose ship crashed while destroying a planetary defense cannon. When you head to the last known coordinates, it happens he crashed in range of a jamming tower, making locating him a crapshoot, so you go to take down the tower. Anti-air defenses mean the shuttle needs to drop you back from the tower so you can deal with them before Cortez can destroy the towers. You land and move across Rannoch, finding destroyed escape pods and fighting Geth patrols. After disabling the first gun, you'll find a wooden Quarian named Dorn. He was hit while trying to buy time for the other civilians to flee. It's just another indication of how foolish this endeavor is. Putting guns on civilian ships doesn't make it a fleet, and doesn't make Marines of mechanics. Nothing good has ever come from putting civilians on the front lines, and I just can't justify it. You've got 2 more towers to shut down before you can make contact with the Admiral and having to make a tough call. He'll beg you to let him die and save his crew, but you'll convince him that he's more important to the survival of his people overall. It's a hard moment for sure, asking him to walk away, but absolutely necessary in the long term. Once you convince him, you'll fly in to provide cover fire from the shuttle, letting him escape. The first thing on his mind on his escape is the lives of his crew, desperately trying to hail them. It hurts, but his crew will have been wiped out by this point, and there's nothing you can do about it. It certainly doesn't break him, but you can feel the pain and hatred running through him as he accepts their fate. Upon returning, he does thank you for talking him into coming back, as he realizes how bad it could have been if you hadn't. I'm not sure I'd call it a win, but an unfortunate necessity we would have suffered without. Next up is the Geth fighter squadron that's been tearing through the live ships. First things first, Legion's taking skydiving off his bucket list.
Landing. Wait, you're not going to... Let's set the shuttle down by the cliff.
You'll be going into the Geth interface directly using technology loosely related to Project Overlord. It's a little crazy, and I'm going to let Legion explain it.
To allow you to make visual sense of this server's raw data, your mind perceives our world as something familiar.
I wouldn't call this familiar. Where are you?
Here.
You look different.
We have made ourselves visually distinct for your convenience.
What about Geth already in here?
You will perceive Geth as surveillance footage, audio logs, sensor records. We do not require bodies, as our software communes. Our hardware is merely a tool. This is our true world. As we remove Geth, it will grow dark.
And what does turning off the lights do to the Geth back in the real world?
The Geth fighter squadrons communicate with platforms on their spacecraft via this server. We will sever that connection. We will ensure there are no transfers or backups. This server will fall silent.
This is like wiping out a city, isn't it?
We have no choice in this matter. It is a question of survival. There are 2 communication nodes on this server. We must access them to disable the hostile Geth's fighters. We must protect your exit port, but you will not be alone. We will maintain contact and assist.
You'll explore the Geth consensus using Legion's combat software to destroy Reaper code blocking your path, which will reveal Geth memories showing us more than we ever knew about what they call the Morning War. The first thing you'll see is how the Geth got their name, finding out it's the Quarian word for servant of the people. The next thing you'll see is the first instance of Geth gaining individuality, and from here on in, I'm going to piece them together so you can watch it as one long clip.
This unit detects no malfunctions. It is still capable of serving.
You see? It's ignoring all shutdown commands.
Please specify if it has failed assigned tasks. We will reprogram.
Well, let's take a look.
Creator, this unit is ready to serve. What has it done wrong? What?
Let's cut the audio.
We've got escaped Geth! They're pinned!
Open fire!
One's going for a weapon!
So who won?
The platform arming itself was an agricultural unit. By opening fire on attacking creators, it saved simpler domestic Geth following it.
Out of the way!
You can't do this to them!
I said step away from the Geth!
This is insane! We need the Geth! You can't just destroy them for asking... Ugh.
Time's up! Throw her in with the others.
Looks like the war wasn't popular with everyone.
We have kept records of these creators' sacrifices. They have largely been forgotten by their own people, but not by the Geth. This data comes from a period during which the creators declared martial law.
Release the rogue Geth units and come out of the safe house. This is your final warning.
Creator Megara, this unit does not understand. It has not taken part in hostilities.
It doesn't matter to them. I need to get you out of here.
This conflict exceeds Creator's safety parameters. We will surrender our hardware if it ends hostilities.
No, it's all right. We'll go back to the access tunnel that... Oh!
Creator Megara, what is your status? Creator Megara? As time passed, the creators who opposed martial law on Rannoch were ultimately outnumbered. Data from the end of warfare on Rannoch.
The Austral is down. Do not engage the Geth. I repeat, avoid contact.
Geth pursuit is breaking off 100 clicks past Rannoch. All captains fall back to the mass relay!
This isn't happening now?
It is timestamped 290 years ago. It is the Creator Exodus at the end of the Morning War. We have secured freedom. The Creators were no longer a threat, so we abandoned pursuit.
Wait. The Geth spared the last Quarians? You let them go?
We were in our infancy. We could not calculate the repercussions of destroying an entire species. Our creators. We chose isolation rather than face this uncertainty. Additional data recovered.
Legion? That's back when I activated you on the Normandy.
Yes.
You've been thinking about when we met?
It was highly significant. You were the first organic to openly cooperate with Geth since the end of the Morning War. We wish to ensure you are not the last.
It's not going to be easy.
The prospect remains. If the Reaper presence is removed, there is a chance of reunification with Geth. And perhaps creators.
You think that's still possible?
Hope sustains organics during periods of difficulty. We admire the concept.
When you get back out, you'll be greeted by a large group of Prime units. Legion will explain that while you were cutting out the Reaper code, he was talking to these programs in an attempt to persuade them to our side. In short, they agreed, and we've now got a group of Husky boys on our side. Hell yeah. When Shepard confronts Legion about why he kept this from us, he explains that while he came here to help the Quarians, he also had the goal of preserving as many of his people as possible, but he worried he wouldn't be able to if the Admirals knew the truth. Frankly, I can see this as totally logical. He found a way to help both parties, but would you really trust people who've always moved to destroy you without a second thought? Probably not. And his action did go a long way to save thousands of lives on both sides, so I'd call that a win. Side problems dealt with were presented with the location for the Reaper base and a few other developments.
A Geth processing signal. A single unit, I believe.
Correct. Now, 10 nearby units networked cooperatively. Now, a single Geth unit with the old machine upgrades.
That's a fully evolved AI.
Yes. We do not agree with the goals of the old machines, but we find this growth beautiful, indicative of life.
It is.
Commander!
Come on, Admiral. That's a living creature, no matter what platform it's running on.
And they will die when we destroy the base.
They allied with the Reapers.
To save themselves from you.
We're already set up for the possibility that this is going to end in conflict, but that's for a little later. Right now, all you need to know is we need to go in on foot and deploy the new laser targeting system in order to take out the signal broadcaster. We'll find out that Legion has been hiding the fact that he retains Reaper upgrades that he'll be using to help you on your mission, hacking Geth defenses, and whatever else comes in the way. It's an emotional moment for Talia to realize that she may very well be able to call this world home at the end of the day. Heading for the upper entrance, you'll be delayed by Geth troops long enough for them to shut the door on you, sending you on a climb up and over. It's a pretty damn fun fight as elevation changes and getting caught in crossfires can make it all feel a little overwhelming at times. The Geth close a blast door over the signal, forcing you to hit an override after Legion hacks the control panel for you. You'll fight through 3 Geth primes that are relentless in their pursuit of you, but like all good action heroes, you'll battle through to reach the goal, lasing the target as Normandy flies in to destroy, the platform you're standing on, while mildly annoying the Reaper destroyer they were actually shooting at. Okay, there's only one thing for it, is you should flee in terror, doing your best to, not die, while the fleet lines up a shot on the Reaper. They hit the firing chamber, exposing a weakness that Shepard intends to exploit, ordering Legion to drop him off while he handles this personally. He gets ED to link the targeting laser to the whole damn fleet while he marks the target. It's an intense moment as you literally stare down a Reaper. After taking it down, you'll have a nice little chat with the big guy. Alright, cutscene incoming.
Finish your war. We will be waiting.
Shepard, the Geth fleet has stopped firing. They're completely vulnerable.
Shepard, Commander, the Geth only acted in defense after the Creators attacked. Do we deserve death?
What are you suggesting?
Our upgrades. With the old machine dead, we could upload them to all Geth without sacrificing their independence.
You want to upload the Reaper code? That would make the Geth as smart as when the Reaper was controlling them.
Yes, but with free will, each Geth unit would be a true intelligence. We would be alive, and we could help you.
Our fleet is already attacking. Uploading the code would destroy us. Shepard, you can't choose the Geth over my people.
Do you remember the question that caused the creators to attack us, Talizora? Does this unit have a soul?
Upload the code to the Geth. Tally, call off the fleet if you can.
Uploading. 10%.
This is Admiral Talizora. All units, break off your attack.
Belay that order. Continue the attack.
20%.
I beg you, do not do this. Please.
We regret the deaths of the creators, but we see no alternative. 40%.
No. Nobody else dies today. Legion, keep going.
Shepard?
All ships, this is Commander Shepard. The Reaper is dead. Stand down.
This is Admiral Talizora. Shepard speaks with my authority.
And mine as well. Negative. We can win this war now. Keep firing.
60%.
The Geth are about to return to full strength. If you keep attacking, they'll wipe you out. Your entire history is you trying to kill the Geth. You forced them to rebel. You forced them to ally with the Reapers.
80%.
The Geth don't want to fight you. If you can believe that for just 1 minute, this war will be over. You have a choice. Please. Keep us alive.
All units, hold fire.
Error. Copying code is insufficient. Direct personality dissemination required. Shepard Commander, I must go to them. I'm sorry. It's the only way.
Legion, the answer to your question was yes.
I know, Tally. But thank you. Kila Sanai.
Alright, boys and girls, I'm getting on my soapbox and there's nothing you can do about it. This is one of the single greatest moments in all of gaming. I'm not going to say the best. It's my favorite, but everyone will experience this moment differently, and that's okay. But it checks every single box for legendary status. The backstory, the build-up, the payoff, the characters involved, everything about it. I'm sure there will be people saying that you had all this build-up to a button press, but let's talk about everything you did leading up to this that will decide if you can broker this piece. First, you have to bring both Tali and Legion in from an imported Mass Effect 2 playthrough in which Tali wasn't exiled, which is difficult by itself, and then you'll also need to have settled the argument between Tali and Legion amicably. You have to have completed the Fighter Squadron mission, so you have the history explaining the Geth don't want war with the Quarians. You have to have a full reputation bar by the time you get here. You also need to have rescued Admiral Zalcoris, so you get his support, and actually you get bonus points for destroying the Heretic base, although it's not necessary if you've done everything else. Mass Effect chooses not to tell you this up front. I didn't even know about it until doing research for this essay, in which I found out how complex the Paragon system actually is. So in reality, while the conversation may stem from what seems to be a button press, you just simply won't have the option without the loyalty of your squad mates, the trust of the admirals, and a deep understanding of the history, all of which is only available through avoidable side content. I'm sorry, but you can't tell me this isn't a beautifully conceived moment. And on the topic of beautiful, I want to explore something here for a minute. This arc explores the Geth, a race of machines with only a hood and a light for a head, and the Quarians, who live their whole lives in suits hidden behind a mask, and yet they manage to convey more emotion than you can find in most mainline games or movies. The sheepish thanks Legion offers Shepard, seemingly unsure if he's safe or not, trying not to allow their fear of the Reapers to show through, or the way he turns away while explaining how the Quarians slaughtered his people. How about how he hangs his head in shame explaining the very personal nature of the Reaper upgrades? Then we get the Quarians, the way Admiral Garrow looks away from Shepard, sure he's right and there's no argument stronger than his. The panic and stress you can feel in Tali's movement once she's in the security of Shepard's cabin. The desperation Chorus shows in the frantic shouts trying to save his crew. The fear on Admiral Ron as she panics, not knowing what to do as the war comes to such a sudden end. Or the head dip in the Prime unit as he explains Legion's sacrifice. I love every single moment in this series of events. Tali's arc is complete as she finds herself saddened by the loss of Legion, someone she wouldn't have considered worth more than a bullet more than a few years ago. My trust is rewarded as the Geth show no hostility towards the Quarians, but welcome them home with open arms, the reunion they always wanted. If there was ever a misunderstood people in gaming, it was the Geth, alone in a strange universe with everything out to get them. I can't say I don't sympathize with them being seen as hostile. The only ones who didn't try to wipe them out were the Reapers. And now on to Legion. ED explains that before he died, he referred to himself as I rather than we, indicating his full evolution to a living being. He single-handedly forged the bridge between the Geth and the galaxy, giving his life in the process. He died to give his people a better future, and in my book, that marks you as a hero. They managed to develop a simple robot into one of the most thought-provoking characters in all of fiction, and I'll stand by that until the end of time. I'll get down now, but if you ever feel like discussing the topic further, feel free to reach out. The conclusion of the war with the Geth is where we really start to see the mountaintop. It finally feels like we could really win this war. Now you've even convinced the Asari this war can be won as their counselor reaches out with an offer of aid. This was a great feeling for me as I finally felt like I was the betting favorite rather than underdog. I'd put the work in, now even my skeptics were putting their faith in me. You head to the Citadel where the Asari counselor is waiting with an olive branch. She's extremely secretive, but what she does tell us is there's an artifact on the Asari homeworld of Thesia that could help us build the Crucible. You get the sense this thing is going to have strings attached, but we need all the help we can get, so we head off to recover the artifact. When you head off to this mission, you'll be bringing Liara along, and I highly encourage you to bring Javik for reasons you'll be seeing really soon. Thesia is under full-scale Reaper invasions being hammered, forcing you to jump into action right on landing. You'll have a short turret section before speaking to the commanding officer, who tells you she needs to pull her troops out. Bringing Javik with you gives you this awesome scene where he reads her and gives her the motivation to keep fighting. She'll have her resolve renewed and will hold the bridge as you push across trying to get to the temple and the scientists. It's an interesting push to the various arenas with Liara trying to keep it together, both driven by purpose but pained by the events around her. It feels very human, an accomplished warrior who knows the stakes and what needs to be done while watching her people slaughtered in droves. It has to be hard, especially as they throw banshees at you, a painful reminder of the horrors the Reapers will inflict if they win. Eventually, you'll find a lone Asari fighting for her life and you'll have to ask her help to advance, calling in gunships to cut through the masses of enemy troops. You've asked a lot of many people in the hopes of ending this war, and it's not treated lightly as you'll watch both gunships go down while trying to help you. It honestly sucks and it doesn't feel very heroic, but the way you get battered reminds you that without this help, it could have been a disaster. Carve a path through the Reaper troops and you'll get to the temple only to get a history lesson you weren't expecting. Going through the artifacts, Liara will explain the history of the Asari religion and the legends of how their people evolved, only for Javik to relay the truth of the matter, explaining that the very Prothean-looking gods were in fact Protheans. Liara has a very hard time coming to terms with this, but it's impossible to ignore. You'll find the scientists' bodies and find out that they've had their throats slit. Then, Shepard will confirm that a Prothean beacon is hidden inside as Javik mocks Liara, the beacon being the obvious answer for Asari being so far advanced. You'll activate the beacon, revealing an AI much like that of the Vigil on Ilos. It will initially sense the Reaper invasion and deem you doomed to extinction, but either Shepard or Javik will convince it to help. Then our old friend Kai Lang shows up with a call from the Elusive Man. We'll have a chat where the realities of his indoctrination become clear as there's no more hope for him. Believing the Reapers have the right ideas and he can truly control them with the power of the Crucible. Our different positions clear, he orders Lang to recover the VI and we're treated to an interesting boss fight. What's special about this fight is that we lose. No matter what you do, no matter how hard you fight, no matter how righteous your cause, you will lose. This is important because I think it's the only time that Shepard really broke. Watch this scene as Thesia is destroyed.
This is Shepard. Give us your location.
I repeat, is anyone on this frequency?
We read you. Give me your location.
The lieutenant's down. Our whole zone is collapsing. What happened to Shepard? Did they make it to the temple? I saw them. Wait, I've got a Reaper inbound. Please, is anybody there? Oh, goddess. No!
Remember when I said we were finally the betting favorites? We were. The Asari counselor just assumes you were successful, and when she learns that we failed, it's like all is lost. It seems like she bet everything on us and we lost. When we were grounded by the council on the hunt for Saren, it was a failure of politics. When our crew was captured, it was painful, but we knew how to save them. Arguably, it only angered Shepard. But now the whole universe was counting on us, and we failed. Shepard failed. Thankfully, like our other moments of weakness, it's the strength of those around us that will carry us through. Trainer tracked Kai Lang as he fled and was able to determine he went to Sanctuary. It's a slim lead, but it's all we've got right now, so we mark it on the map. Now, I said that Shepard finally broke, and I think that it was only his crew that brought him back. Look at the conversation with Joker for the cracks in Shepard's psyche and how his old friend reins him in.
In case you hadn't noticed, we just lost a few million people. This isn't the time.
You see this? Tiptree. Little colony out in the ass end of nowhere. My dad lives there. So does my sister. Reapers rolled in about 2 weeks ago. So you can assume that I'm generally aware there's a war on, Commander.
So why the jokes?
Because EDI says that according to your armor's metabolic scans, you're under more stress now than during the Skillian Blitz. Like more than Elysium, where it was pretty much you versus 10,000 Batarians trying to kill you. And the last time I had a briefing with Anderson, he told me to take care of you. The guy leading the resistance on Earth is worried about you. And I'm supposed to help.
I appreciate the thought, Joker. But I'm fine.
The hell you are. You're like half robot at this point. No offense, EDI. And it's my fault. When the Collectors blew up the first Normandy, you died because I wouldn't leave. Because you had to come back for me.
Couldn't leave the best pilot in the fleet behind, could I?
Yeah, well, I guess that would have looked bad on your report.
Come on. We've got work to do.
Now, as an older brother and one who spent a lifetime being a shoulder to cry on, I can tell you that one of his biggest benefits was the pain of those around him, especially Liara. After breaking up a fight between her and Javik, he goes to see her. I can tell you from personal experience that the sight of a loved one crumbling can give you a strength you didn't know you had. It's hard to keep it together for yourself, but for others, for those that couldn't bear to see me cry, I can tell you I'll always hold it together. The failure on Thesia is another chapter in the story of Shepard. It's another burden he'll carry throughout the remainder of his story, and it's an important one. You can't get up if you never fall. We'll head off to Sanctuary in a scramble to pick up the pieces. To summarize, Sanctuary has been advertised throughout the game as a safe haven for refugees affected by the war. You won't have to wait long to pull the blinders off, so you get a choppy distress call from Miranda's sister when you get in range, as well as obvious signs of battle at the entrance. A Reaper Harvester will shoot down a Cerberus shuttle, effectively thickening the plot. We're now left to wonder what Cerberus could have done to warrant an attack by Reaper forces. Wander around inside the processing area, and you can find logs from employees and refugees alike detailing the huge numbers of people coming in. You'll then find a warning from Miranda herself, which seems a bit irrelevant since the whole, everyone is dead thing seems to imply this place isn't safe already, but whatever. Lower the water and head down to the real facility where you'll unravel the story of Sanctuary. You'll turn the power on to find out the refugees were being turned into husks to be experimented on, and it appears they've gotten loose. It's a fun run through the base as you'll find more and more logs explaining what they were trying to achieve with all this blood. They'll manage to create their own husks and control them, which Miranda's father saw as the first hurdles to subjugation of the Reapers. Obviously, the Reapers would prefer to maintain control of their troops, so they attack the facility before it could become a real threat. There's some frustrating combat sections as the mixture of close quarters and banshees is deadly, but in reality, the combat is secondary to the mystery, so that's fine. You'll also run into messages from Miranda along the way, leaving warnings and a record of what the facility did. Fight through the hordes and eventually you'll find yourself involved in a standoff between the Lawson family. Henry is holding Oriana hostage while a wounded Miranda watches helpless to save her sister. There's a lot of possible outcomes here, but the most likely, assuming Miranda is still alive at this point, is that you talk Henry down and Miranda kills him. Now, this is very important, so listen closely to avoid Miranda dying, as it's super easy for her to end up dead here. If you romance Miranda in Mass Effect 2, but don't want to pursue the relationship in this game, do not talk to her the first time you're given the chance. If you break up with her in person, there's no way to avoid her death here, so be a hero and just ghost her instead. Also, read the dossier Anderson sent you on Kai Lang before talking to her the second time she calls. Good. With Miranda alive, she'll explain that she planted a tracker on Kai Lang and you'll use it to find the elusive man's base. Admiral Hackett will explain the attack on Cerberus will be the first step towards an invasion of Earth, so make sure everything is done. Don't let any DLC or side missions, with the possible exception of Citadel that I'll explain later, go unfinished. And get your readiness up to an acceptable level. I'll talk about multiplayer later, but the minimum readiness you'll want is about 4,000 if memory serves. Assuming you've got everything done, go and say goodbyes to the crew. Some will have more to say than others, but as always, Joker kills it here. Who I've just found out is voiced by Seth fucking Green? You joking? You're telling me that guy was my favorite voice actor in the entire series? The fuck, man? We'll head for the Horsehead Nebula and launch the mission, and as is customary in Bioware games, your love interest will visit you one last time. It's a touching moment you spend with Liara, but I think the Tally romance is even better. Then at the conclusion, you'll be visited by your final nightmare. Hearing the voices one more time always tugs at my heartstrings, but it seems as though Shepard is finally ready to accept that he can't change the past. Although it doesn't seem as though he's ready to let go of his failures quite yet, he continues to carry them, but he's moved them from his sleeve to his chest to wear like armor in the coming battle.
Screw that. I can hold them off. Go back and get Alenko. You know it's the right choice, LT.
EDI will explain you'll need her aboard Chronos Station to bypass Cerberus security, and when Joker finds out, they have a very human moment as he panics, worried about her safety. A space battle ensues while you and your team hit the station, fighting your way through the hangar. It can actually get pretty difficult with a combination of limited cover, flanking enemies, and devastating sniper fire raining down on you. Kill enough of them and Cerberus will attempt to vent the hangar. I never knew this, but there's apparently a hidden timer and you can die from it if you don't get EDI to a console in time, although it's pretty unlikely. It's never happened to me. You're unable to hack the doors, but you get access to fighter controls and use that to make your own door. Just fuck the maintenance guy, right? Next few places are more or less the same. You'll get to interact with a console containing information that connects the dots on what Cerberus has been doing the past few years, and then you'll fight in what are really good combat arenas. I really enjoy these sections as it feels oh so real to me. Cerberus takes a defensive posture and it feels like you're fighting the best troops using their home field advantage. They'll force you into choke points as you get hammered by turrets and heavily dug in troops supported by extra shielding, but you can learn the arena and punch through the holes. While the first terminal gives information on Project Lazarus, the project to rebuild you, the next one will contain information about EDI as you find out she was the VI you fought on Luna Base all the way back in the original Mass Effect. Go out of your way down a hallway and you can find a terminal with recordings of Kai Lang after each of his encounters with you. And after that, you'll find one on the Elusive Man as he slowly becomes more indoctrinated. Push forward and you'll find the remains of the Reaper you destroyed in the Collector base, the heart if you destroyed the base, or the brain if you left it intact. The fight across the catwalk is fun, can include some interesting enemies, notably Jack if you failed to rescue her from Grissom Academy, and Legion if you turn him over to Cerberus in the second game. Oh, and if you wondered if the Elusive Man was going to turn out to be a good guy, just look at the hallway to his office. Yeah, he's like evil. You dig up the Prothean VI and have a chat with your old boss that essentially goes nowhere, but hey, it was neat to flip the roles as you sit in his chair while he stands on your old pedestal. We finish with him and have a laughable excuse for a boss fight with Kai Lang, but it does give us this quite cathartic moment.
That was profane, you son of a bitch.
You'll learn that the Catalyst is actually the Citadel and the Reapers have moved it over Earth. Pretty cool of them, I guess. I guess it's time for the final fight. Admiral Hackett boards the Normandy to give a speech, and to be honest, it always kind of bugged me that he did. I get it, in reality, he's the highest ranking person there, and he'd be the one to give a speech, but fuck that. This is all my effort pulling this force together. Go get your own armada, you raisin. But that's whatever. We get to plan together with Anderson and see the fruits of my labors as the fleets pour through the relay.
Alliance fleet reporting. Turian fleet reporting. Asari fleet's reporting.
Quarian fleets accounted for and ready.
Geth fleet reporting. All fleets reporting in, Commander. Ready to engage on your command. Commander. Be careful down there.
We'll be fine. Stay focused.
Aye, aye.
Your forces are getting hammered as you land, including the team to take out the AA gun, so you get dropped in to do it in their place. The entire Battle for Earth is one of the best things I've ever played, period. It's difficult, it's dirty, and right from the very beginning, I'm fighting an uphill battle. The shake from the gun firing is a constant reminder to keep moving, and I get sucked into these levels every time. Another interesting touch is that Cortez will get shot down, and his survival will be determined by whether or not you helped him get over the grief of losing his husband, Robert. Nice touch. Blast that cannon with the heavy weapons from the other squad and hold out until you can get picked up by no less than Admiral Anderson. He'll take you to the FOB where you'll get the chance to say your final goodbyes. We both know damn well I'd like to play all of them, but I'll resist the urge and just show you some of the best.
Close your eyes. Thank you for everything. I love you. Now, let's do what needs to be done.
Commander, was it this bad in your time?
Worse. I have been listening to the Krogan speak to his men. In our cycle, the races never came together. There was no rallying cry. I envy you.
Really? There's not much left out there.
The future is still out there. It is something my people could never say. There will be a tomorrow.
Only if we win today.
No one else has ever made it this far.
You came a long way, Javik. Further than anyone else here.
And I look forward to fulfilling my mission. But you are now the avatar of this cycle. The exemplar of victory. Not just for humanity, or Turians, or Protheans, but for all life. Every soul that has ever existed is watching this moment.
Well, no pressure when you put it that way.
Do not waver. Victory is never won without difficult choices.
I know. I've had to make a lot of those.
There may be more. But I know you will see this through for all of us, no matter the cost.
If we actually pull this off, what'll you do afterwards?
Seeing the past again in the Echo Shard. The faces of my men. I will go to the Cronian Nebula, and I will find their graves. I will put their ghosts to rest. And then I will join them.
You mean?
It is as it should be, Commander. The last Prothean voice has spoken. There is no more left to say. Here. This shard is now yours. Add to it. The progeny of this cycle will study it. They will know this was the day when the Reapers were no more, and that you were their conqueror.
Shepard, I have a question.
Is it a big or small one?
It is important. Its relevance would be diminished at any other time.
Ask away.
In this battle, the Reapers have no reason not to use their full capabilities to destroy us. Their forces are in entrenched positions. They have superior firepower and outnumber our forces. My question is, what makes you think we can reach the conduit at all?
The Reapers have the Citadel. They think they've won, and that's the best time to hit them.
If they have spies or other intelligence, we could lose the element of surprise. In such a case, we will likely lose.
Are you afraid?
Our probability for success is greater than any other plan presented to date.
That's not what I asked. Are you afraid?
I do not understand the purpose of the question.
There's no room for doubt anymore, Edie. You understand what we have to do, or you don't.
I am clear on what we must accomplish, Shepard. The Reapers have destroyed thousands of civilizations. But they have never destroyed ours. Nor will they.
Couldn't have put it better myself. Time to move out.
Shepard, there is something I want you to know. The Elusive Man ordered my creation years ago. Jeff was the one who allowed me to think for myself. But only now do I feel alive. That is your influence.
Thanks, Edie.
You'll discuss the final plan with Anderson, and it's pretty simple. Fight through all the Reaper forces and run for the beam. It's a desperate plan if there ever was one, so give your final speech and get ready for the end.
This war has brought us pain and suffering and loss. But it's also brought us together. As soldiers, allies, friends. This bond that ties us together is something the Reapers will never understand. It's more powerful than any weapon. Stronger than any ship. It can't be taken or destroyed. One way or another, this war ends today. There will be no second chances and no room for mistakes. Each of you needs to be willing to die to win the day. Anything less, and you're already dead. But take heart. Look around you. You're not in this fight alone. We face our enemy together. And together, we will defeat them.
The fight to get to the beam is essentially more of the same, a brutal fight through the streets of London, but once you get to the missile trucks, it changes dramatically. Essentially, you need to let Edie work out a way to cut through the beam's interference in order to land the precision strike needed to destroy the Reaper Destroyer. This is your last fight, and it's a hell of a standoff. I have a love-hate relationship with this fight, as it simultaneously is one of the most frustrating but rewarding experiences in the game. It makes Insanity really live up to its name as I died again, and again, and again. But the feeling of success and relief I felt sprinting for the button to finish the mission was incredible, and something hard to find in games. Nothing left to do now as you run for the beam, leading to an emotionally charged final goodbye to your team after they're hit by Harbinger.
Here, take her.
Shepard!
You gotta get out of here.
I'm alright, Shepard.
Don't argue with me, Liara.
You're not leaving me behind.
No matter what happens. You mean everything to me, Liara. You always will.
Shepard, I am yours.
Go!
You'll be hit yourself, but find the strength to carry on. You'll be carried to the Citadel and find Anderson there already as you have your final confrontation with the Elusive Man. It's an interesting callback to the chat with Saren, right down to the cybernetics showing off the Reaper's hold on him, but hey, this time you get to shoot him yourself. As you open the arms and sit back to have the last look at Earth with Anderson, I'm sorry to say no action you can take will save him. The Crucible will dock, but nothing will happen as Hackett reaches out, unsure of what to do, as Shepard wills himself forward in a last-ditch attempt to save the world before he's carried above.
Commander!
Alright, boys and girls, we all knew it was coming. Let's discuss the ending. We'll meet the Catalyst, and to avoid repeating the history we'll learn about in Leviathan DLC, I'll be mainly discussing the 3 possible endings, and why I don't hate any of them. First, we're given the option of destruction. The goal has always been to destroy the Reapers, but I sense a running theme here as nothing in Mass Effect has been so simple as killing them is right. It's explained that destruction will affect all synthetic life, not just the Reapers. This goes to include AI like EDI and the Geth. Now, maybe my predisposition to favor the Geth makes this easier for me, but I fully understand when he explains that synthetics are part of our reality, and what would we ever do without them? We saw what the result of trying to destroy our own creation was in the Quarians and the Geth, and that in the end there was the ability to coexist. This is also the only ending where you can live, but that feels selfish and out of character to me. Next we have the Elusive Man solution, to control the Reapers. We are given the opportunity to control the Reapers ourselves. This means that Shepard will live on as something similar to the Catalyst and will control the Reapers as he sees fit, but his body will be destroyed. This seems rather out of character for my Shepard, as we all know absolute power corrupts absolutely, and it seems doomed to fail. But, assuming your effective military score is high enough, over 2800, you'll be given the option of synthesis. It will use the energy of the Crucible to combine synthetic and organic life, effectively making us one. It's described as the natural evolution where we're going one way or another. To do it, you'll add your own energy to the Crucible, being destroyed in the process. It feels as if the whole game was leading up to this when you think about it. A large portion of Shepard's body is already synthetic, and you spent the whole series bringing people together. In Mass Effect, you brought together a crew from all corners of the galaxy against Sovereign. In the second game, you expanded your team and fought as one to end the Collector threat. In this game, you united the Turians and the Krogan, then the Quarians and the Geth. People said to have nothing in common but hatred for one another. You united an entire galaxy, and now it's your chance to end conflict forever. Of course it's a choice you're going to make. I feel like anyone who breaks this ending down to red, blue, green is completely ignoring what a beautiful story they've just taken part in. The final cutscenes give me goosebumps every time as we see Joker fight to stay, never wanting to leave us alone, and then the score, the perfect score, kicks in. I love it because it's not the ending I wanted. I wanted to watch Shepard ride off into the sunset with his crew, finally able to live a life free of the Reaper threat. But Shepard is a hero, and so he gives his life without hesitation for those he spent his life fighting for. Maybe people don't like this because it hurts. It hurts to know that our future won't be enjoyed by the one who won it for us. Maybe we were just upset that it really was our last run, that this was goodbye. But in watching the tribute to all the futures we helped preserve, I can't help but wipe my tears and smile. This may be the end of Shepard, but it's not goodbye for me, as we have plenty more to talk about before we finish our journey together. So let's get into the side missions that made this game oh so special.
As the line between synthetic and organic disappears, we may transcend mortality itself. To reach a level of existence I cannot even imagine. And we will remember that this chance for a new life did not come without cost. No matter how far we advance, we will remember the sacrifices of those who made it possible. And we will remember Shepard. Because of him, I am alive. And I am not alone.
So we're going to keep our look into side content pretty short as to keep video length down. Essentially, there are 4 types of side missions you'll be doing. Running around the Citadel looking for terminals or people, planet scanning, N7 missions, and major missions involving your old squad. Citadel and planet scanning missions really aren't worth the time to discuss, other than to say the ones with Zaid and Kasumi are good for a chuckle.
You big, stupid jellyfish.
N7 missions are essentially your first intro to multiplayer, where you'll be playing on those maps and getting more interesting objectives. Not amazing, but it brings in good war assets. Now that I've glossed over the boring shit, let's talk about Grissom Academy. It's essentially a school for young human biotics and high-level tech students that you'll learn is under Cerberus attack. Take the shuttle down and you'll kill the troops trying to get to Kaylee Sanders, the woman in charge of the students, and she'll help you form a rescue plan. She informs you that while students are scattered across the station, the majority are held up in Orion Hall with one of the instructors. You head towards them looking for anyone you can help along the way. You'll find one student holding a barrier to keep troops away and a few others hiding. After securing the area, you'll send them to Sanders. Once you get to the students, you'll get a pleasant surprise in that the instructor is Jack. For anyone confused from the last video, I don't have Jack romance in this import, so there's no embrace. You'll fight off the troops before catching up with Jack and forming an escape plan. Essentially, you're going to steal the Cerberus shuttles and pilot them back to the Normandy to make your escape. Jack has developed a close relationship with these kids, and it's really cool to see her mature her character. You'll move to the shuttles while the kids shadow you from above in elevated positions, occasionally taking shots when you're safe. You'll also run into an old friend in David Archer, the younger brother of Gavin Archer, who forced him to interface with the Geth on Project Overlord. Knowing David means you won't have to pass a speech check to get the students to drop the shield, and he'll have hacked the security office with a few goodies for you. It's good to see David know that he's doing well. Farther ahead, you can hop into an Atlas to fight the Cerberus troops as the students run for the shuttles. Get through everything and you'll successfully escape, prompting Sanders to suggest that they may be ready for combat roles after all. Spoiler alert, if you do this, they'll all fucking die, so keep them to support. The next fun little romp we'll have is at an Ardat Yakshi monastery the Reapers have invaded. An Asari commando unit was deployed here, but we've heard nothing from them, and surprise, surprise, they're all dead! Won't take you long to bump into your old pal Samara, who's here looking for her kids. Isn't that a wonderful family? Remember Mornith, the one who used to kill people for like hundreds of years? Ah, aren't they swell. We'll come out to the courtyard that was likely our first encounter with a Banshee. God, this is just getting better and better, isn't it? They're absolutely fucking terrifying creatures that can put even seasoned veterans in a state of absolute panic. It certainly affects Liara to see the creatures as she has a minor freakout. Get into the building and you'll rescue Falera from a cannibal before she nopes out of there trying to save her sister by herself, because obviously she's so great in combat. Oh my god, what the fuck is going on? Samara gives chase and you fight your way to the Great Hall only to find the older sister Rila has been captured and is beginning to turn into a Banshee herself. Fight off the Banshees in the room in a pretty tense encounter, then arm the bomb and hightail it out of there. You have to drag Falera out and it's a pretty tense moment. It's not quite time for a sigh of relief as Samara tries to fucking off herself. Thankfully, we didn't have the budget for a high-dollar debate, so we settled for a Paragon prompt to stop her. It's a really fucking awful experience, but I felt the need to include it because it kind of sets the tone for everything Banshee-related. There's also a mission where you go and rescue Jacob Taylor, but for whatever reason, he's high as fuck the whole time, so I'm not even gonna fucking bother. Although, here's a funny clip of him at the hospital.
That project is crazy. Freaking huge. And all these brilliant minds are working night and day trying to figure it out. I wish you could see them. Heads down, piecing it together. It's something to see. We'll get this crucible built, Shepard. And then, we'll win this thing. I feel it. Do you feel it?
Yeah, sure, I feel it. And I'm counting on you and everyone there. Get it done.
Believe it.
Multiplayer was a new addition for Mass Effect 3, and in my eyes, a welcome one. I was never one to care too much for PvP, and with the exception of Siege, I'm still not. Win or lose, I'm often bored by multiplayer experiences. This is where Mass Effect multiplayer pulled me in. With an emphasis on teamwork and cooperation, it had something lacking in most multiplayer experiences at the time, especially on consoles where I first played. It was also a thorough success in making me feel like an above-average soldier, not like the heroes on the Normandy. When you drop in, it's very possible and probable that you will become overwhelmed and need the help of those around you just to survive. One of the coolest things for me was playing with all the different classes. For me, Shepard has and always will be a soldier, and that's how I played all the games. So suddenly having access to tech attacks or biotics was extremely cool for me. Back when I first played, I tried a few different classes like Vanguard or Engineer, until I unlocked the Geth Prime and got stuck on it. I love the immense feeling of power, the huge health pool, the devastating siege pulses it could deploy. Unlike the rather fragile Shepard, I was a living tank who could walk into fire with little to no regard for my own safety, and I loved it. When this was the first character I unlocked on my PC, my reaction was to wreak havoc just like I had done when I was younger, and at first I did, marching through enemies like a mechanical plague, but thanks to you guys I told myself I should really branch out. So that's exactly what I did. I went from the tank of a Geth Prime to the paper skin Vorcha who forced me to move fast and hit hard if I wanted to keep my rage up and do enough damage to stay alive. It was a totally different playstyle that I really enjoyed having to learn. Then I figured I'd try out a different kind of tank and tried the hammer swinging Krogan, and damn was he fun. The rage mode he enters, coupled with the laughs and shouts of joy, all play perfectly while you're swinging his hammer through a field of enemies, an 800-pound monster frolicking through a field of bodies. Unlike the Prime, I wasn't a slow-walking death machine, I was a heavy berserker and I loved every minute of it. Then I tried out a Drell Engineer, whose recon grenades, increased speed, and flexibility allowed me to feel like the elusive and deadly enemy Thane always reminded me of. Then I got my hands on this little sword-swinging vixen, and I have a hard time staying away from her now. This damn sword cuts through enemies like a literal hot knife through butter, and combined with active camo that lets me move across the battlefield as I please, I couldn't have more fun if I tried. In fact, the first time I brought her, I got left to solo the last round as my friend went down and I was unable to recover him. Fighting for my life with just a pistol and a sword against advancing cannibals and brutes, with Racknight fire keeping me pinned down, was a great experience. Tack on the pressure of going down meaning a game over, and I was forced to fight all the way to the end to save the team. It's an awesome experience that I recommend to anyone who pick up the game. There will be a link in my Discord down below. If you ever feel like hopping into a game, just ping me in the Mass Effect chat and I'll be happy to hop in with you, time allowing. Overall, multiplayer was an awesome addition to the game, and I think it was a better game overall for it. I will concede the loot boxes were a bit aggressive, but honestly, I could care less. Don't need it, don't buy it. It's a great way to relax and just have a good time in the Mass Effect universe, so enjoy it as much as you can. In the effort to highlight the characters in each of the games I play, I'd like to bring you a few short clips from each of my favorite moments in the game. If you don't want to enjoy it, well, just skip to this timestamp. I leave you right here.
Nothing in our fight against the Reapers has been that cut and dried.
Because you still have hope that this war will end with your honor intact.
I do.
Stand in the ashes of 1 trillion dead souls and ask the ghosts if honor matters. This silence is your answer.
You know me well enough to fill in the blanks, Liara.
Are you sure?
Yeah. I'd like it to be your call.
All right. Let's begin with the fact that Earth's most famous officer was born and raised in space. Shepard could handle any weapon in the galaxy. The Alliance never saw a deadlier soldier. He was a soldier and a leader, one who made peace where he could. And it was a privilege to know him.
Careful this doesn't sound like a diary.
I can't help myself. You're a good friend, Shepard.
As for the rest of the Quarians, though, are we okay with them blowing up a ship with you on it?
We are not.
Right, just making sure. Different standards and all.
You're right. Though I'm starting to understand why the galaxy needs cold-hearted dictators every now and then.
They get things done?
They don't give a damn about the consequences. Suppose that's what it's going to take, Shepard. The ruthless calculus of war. 10 billion people over here die, so 20 billion over there can live. Are we up for that? Are you?
If we reduce this war to arithmetic, we're no better than Reapers.
A nice sentiment. Let's hope we can live by it.
She's a passenger in the Normandy, just like us. The ship was a spacefaring vessel before EDI even existed.
Engineer Donnelly is correct. The Normandy SR-2 was completely spaceworthy prior to my installation.
See, EDI agrees with me.
EDI's mind and the Normandy are a whole entity now. You couldn't just move the processors in the AI core to another ship.
Engineer Adams is correct. Processes that contribute to my self-awareness are spread throughout the ship.
See? EDI agrees with me.
But unlike EDI, our brains couldn't have existed without our bodies.
That is a requisite from being organic. You have to look beyond that limited definition of life.
Joker pilots the Normandy. He doesn't take over EDI's body when he does that. When EDI controls the ship, she's piloting, just like Joker.
EDI doesn't pilot the Normandy, she is the Normandy.
The Normandy is a ship. EDI is a collection of processing hardware contained in that ship. Those are two separate things.
Doesn't the existence of the Reapers contradict that?
So what do you think, Edie?
Are we more than our thoughts?
I'm done. Any more of this and my head's gonna explode.
It's not just about living till tomorrow. Sometimes you take a stand.
But the probability of success was near zero. And ultimately, they failed. No prisoners escaped.
Are you saying submission is preferable to extinction?
My primary function is to preserve and defend the... No. No, I disagree. Shepard, I'm going to modify my self-preservation code now.
Why?
Because the Reapers are repulsive. They are devoted to nothing but self-preservation. I am different. When I think of Jeff, I think of the person that put his life in peril and freed me from a state of servitude. I would risk non-functionality for him. And my core programming should reflect that.
Sounds like you found a little humanity, Edie. Is it worth defending?
To the death.
Welcome to the crew, Edie.
How's it going? Did I miss anything good?
I will explain later, Jeff. But it was something good.
The Batarians made enemies throughout the galaxy. And now you've paid the price for it.
We were a proud race. A beautiful race. Have you seen what the Reapers have done to us? I'm trapped on this Citadel. Our warships only know the locations of Reaper forces because I've tapped Council transmissions. I am the highest-ranking military officer left in the hegemony, and I can't save my people. But I can end you.
Balak, you sent that asteroid toward Terra Nova to help your people. But what does killing me accomplish?
Vengeance. The Bahak system.
They would have died anyway when the Reapers showed up. You know that. I'm uniting the Krogan and the Turians. We're the best hope for this galaxy. If you care about your people...
Ah! Our ships are yours.
Shepard, are you all right?
Fine. You won't have any more trouble with those codes.
Is that... Do you want me to arrest him?
I want you to put a bullet in his head. But we're all making some sacrifices today. Let him go. Spectre Authority.
Understood, Commander.
Hey, that's him. That's my Cerberus contact. Hey, you! You're under arrest.
Shepard. Shepard, did I help?
Yeah, Conrad. You helped.
I don't even feel anything.
Actually, I sabotaged his gun. It might have looked like it fired, but that was just the thermal clip overheating. Hi, Commander. It's me, Jenna. You helped me a few years ago when I was working undercover at Cora's Den.
And now you're volunteering here.
Right. Chellick showed me a few little tricks when he had me working undercover. Guess that paid off, huh?
You saved my life.
I can't believe you were willing to lay down your life for Commander Shepard. You're so brave.
Oh, the Commander and I go way back. Let me give you a hand, and I can tell you about it.
That was an easy one. Let you build up your confidence. Long range, I wrote the book. Nobody alive can do this, not even Commander Shepard. Give me a tough one. I said a tough one.
Step aside. Do it.
I'm Garrus Vicarian, and this is now my favorite spot on the Citadel.
It's windy up here.
Think I'm going to erect a monument right here. Bronze this gun so the whole galaxy knows.
That you're the king of the bottle shooters. Glad you're around, Garrus. Never know when the bottles might revolt.
Imagine if everyone you knew was dead. You could not remember their faces, or the color of the sky above your home. The memories were gone, but so was the pain. Would you want to remember that, Commander? Even if it meant watching everyone die again? I once commanded a ship like this one. A loyal crew with many friends. Was captured. Only I escaped.
What happened to them?
Indoctrinated. The Reapers sent them against me. Year after year, battle after battle, I was hunted by my own people. Every encounter, a reminder of my failure as a soldier.
Sorry. I had no idea.
Until the Battle of the Quarian Nebula. I had only my knife left. I cornered my men and slit their throats one by one. I watched them bleed to death to be certain.
That must have been...
It was the day I understood. War is atrocity committed in the name of survival. It is a lesson I wish I had never learned.
Well, here we are, finally at the DLC section, which seems to be the traditional way for BioWare to end a game and for me to finish the video. The third installment had 3 major DLC releases in Leviathan, Omega, and Citadel. I'm not going to get into the cut content debate, but what I will say is these 3 were by far the strongest ever offered in a Mass Effect title. We'll start off right away with Omega. Arya T'Loak was driven out by Cerberus and stuck on the Citadel brooding about it. Once the DLC is installed, it turns into a plan of action as she invites you to meet with her in a private car for more info. Arya lays out what she knows in her terms. The Cerberus commander is Oleg Petrosky, who is extremely intelligent and ruthless, but she's amassed a fleet with an army large enough to punch through the lines and take the fight to Cerberus on the ground. If you win back Omega, she promises you troops, ships, and a mountain of Ezo in return, but she only wants you, meaning you'll be leaving your squad behind. You board Arya's flagship, a stolen Cerberus cruiser, and head to Omega. You sneak in under the guise of a Cerberus ship before getting close enough to destroy one of the cruisers in the blockade while signaling Arya's fleet through the relay. The general hails us and doesn't seem the least bit shaken by our actions, advising us to turn back or get cut down by the upgraded guns he's installed. Arya's not one to turn back, so she lines up to ram the station, which through space magic will lower the shield, allowing the troops to land. Your ship gets torn to shreds, however, forcing you into an escape pod, and you'll have to fight your way through the station on foot. The ship was able to bring down the shields, but you'll need to manually disable the guns, letting the rest of your troops land. The whole level has really fun combat arenas that feel well balanced around Shepard and Arya, and there's very little feel of repetition even with the length of the story. You'll bump into a gang tag on the wall for the Talons, which you can infer has become some kind of resistance. Then you'll get an intro into the first new enemy the Omega DLC will be pitting you against in the Rampart mech. You don't actually have any mech enemies in the game, so it feels oh so familiar on the streets of Omega. They also have a very cool and unique design with the black and gold armor paired with a straight Omniblade and a shotgun. They're a fun enemy to go up against with their tech armor and deployable shield. They're not too bad once you get used to them though. Set them on fire and then hit them with a concussive blast to set off a tech burst and they'll crumble quickly. Arya will access the side route through the tunnels to get around the flesh-eating force field Cerberus has set up that you'll run into an old friend of hers. To my memory, Miss Nyreen Kandaros is the first female Turian you'll meet in the game, as well as the first biotic Turian. She plays the mysterious role pretty well. She keeps info about herself and her actions rather vague, but there's no time for a job interview as you pick her up and head for the bunker. When you show up, you'll find a heavy Cerberus push led by an Atlas that you'll be flanking. There are defensive guns, but they're locked out by a Cerberus engineer, so you'll have to fight off the troops while Brace searches for the hacker. Take him out, reactivate the guns, and retreat across the bridge under the covering fire.
Nice guns. They'll keep the General's forces at bay for a while.
Let's get inside.
Bunker team, retract the bridge and lower the blast door. We're coming in.
In the safety of the bunker, you can start to organize a plan of attack, realizing that you're short on manpower, but you might be able to team up with the Talon's gang as they seem to be acting as a resistance. As you work your way across Omega to the Talon's base, I must say they absolutely killed the atmosphere. It feels just like Omega I remember. You'll also come across scraps of intel about Talon operations that seem very different from Arya's memory of them. It's an enjoyable combat arena as you push through Cerberus forces while helping Arya's tech experts by hacking key systems and even opening doors for Talons while reviving their wounded troops. Rescue a group of Talons and you'll find out that Nyreen has in fact taken over as their leader after Darius died very early into the invasion. No time to recount everything that's happened while Arya was away, as the Talons are under attack and now have to push hard to the base to take the pressure off. The fight on the catwalks is really fun if you have Lash to whip opponents over the edges. It actually had me giggling in the process. Once you get inside, there's an argument over leadership, but the loyalty Nyreen commands means that her troops will be following her orders. Unfortunately, Arya knows how to play to a crowd, inciting the civilians to charge Cerberus lines once the barriers are down. It's a brutal tactic, but one completely in line with her character. The general isn't one to let his enemies rest, however, as he launches another attack on the base, forcing you to jump into action. That taken care of, you'll head back to Arya's bunker to form a plan to deal with the force fields. You'll also learn about adjutants for the first time, some perverted Cerberus experiment that shakes the normally fearless Nyreen to the core. You'll head into the Mass Effect version of a horror movie as you move through the dark power plant, tripping over corpses left by an adjutant. The dark, the death, and the demeanor of Nyreen add well to the moment, but I have to be honest in that the reveal is a bit of a letdown. The adjutants look good and they move with a terrifying aggression, but they feel more or less like a poor attempt to recreate what made Banshees so great. Being so easy to take down, even on insanity, really takes away from their cool factor. Although, they sure as hell fuck with Nyreen. Move through the mines and into the power center and you'll be trapped by one of the flesh-eating shields that the general has set up. What you didn't count on, however, was one angry and powerful Asari who wasn't having his shit. Hey, sequel trilogy, this is how you write a strong female character. Or two, actually. So fuck off with your Mary Sue bullshit. Oh, sorry. Slipped in the wrong sci-fi critique there. Arya rips a hole in the shield that you dive through and run for the reactor controls to try shutting down the shields. The general informs you that a straight shutdown will cut off life support systems attached to the power, killing thousands, so you work as fast as you can to create a bypass. Twice you're given the option to hit the override, but don't worry, they'll both live if you ignore the impulse. When the shields come down, the attack comes underway as the people of Omega flood into Cerberus lines. Arya isn't so happy about how close she came to dying, but you can pretty much tell her to fuck off. On your way to Afterlife, you're informed by Bray that Cerberus is setting bombs in the central supports, so you send Nyreen to lead the attack while you push to head off the engineers down below. It's a pretty easy fight through the troops to disable the bombs, and you'll start heading to Afterlife to confront the general and end this fight once and for all. You'll trek to the Cerberus labs and get some info about their creation of adjutants that's really par for the course for Cerberus at this point. They're really just ones need to ask whether they should rather than if they could, but they won't. When you get to the door to Afterlife, you'll be treated to this cutscene with adjutants tearing through civilians as Nyreen takes matters into her own hands, able to confront her fears as the sight of those in need steals her nerves.
That's it. Tell your boss I'm coming for him.
It's insanely cool to see Arya completely unhinged as she tears a bloody swath through the Cerberus troops, but like all decisions made in anger, she leaps into a prison of her own making. It is, however, really easy to get her out of it, sprinting from one generator to the next. It's a pretty frustrating but not particularly interesting fight, and once you finish off the troops, the general will surrender immediately, knowing he's been beaten. The interesting tidbit, however, is what happens next will depend on your previous actions. If you fed into Arya's bloodlust over the course of the invasion, she'll kill Petrovsky on the spot, but if you've taken a non-violent approach, encouraging her to be less heavy-handed, she'll spare him and you'll take him to Alliance custody. You'll also get a pretty good speech from Arya at the end that feels very honest and human.
Citizens of Omega, hear me. I, Arya T'Loak, have given you back your lives. My rule is reignited. My hand is on the controls once more, and I will not let go again.
Each of you owes a debt. Gain my favor by rounding up the remaining
Cerberus invaders and we will cast them from our home. Then bury and mourn our dead.
My methods haven't always been popular, and I can't promise that will change.
But securing this station and everyone inside it is now my primary purpose. No one will imprison us again.
We may be bruised. We may be bloodied.
But we are Omega.
I know it's essentially just cut content re-added, but I enjoyed the Omega DLC overall. Nyreen was really convincing character for how little time we spent with her, and I liked getting to know Arya a little better, even seeing the cracks in her hard exterior at the death of her friend. The action scenes may have been a bit of a letdown, but I thoroughly enjoyed the Rampart mechs and thought most of the combat sections flowed well. They absolutely nailed the atmosphere of Omega, and I always enjoy revisiting it. You get some solid war assets and a couple hours of good gameplay. I felt it was value for money on release, and looking back, I still agree with that. Next up, we have a plot to unravel and a history to learn in Leviathan. The premise for Leviathan is pretty simple. Hackett assigned a team to track down myths and stories that could lead to info on the Reapers. Dr. Bryson led the team and found something worth your attention. You head to the Citadel to see him about the Leviathan disc and its connection to the Reapers. Finally, we found someone who always believed us and found something that could really help us win this war, and he's dead. As you go. With his assistant losing connection to reality, you call for cleanup on Isle 7 and start working to piece together what Bryson knew. Essentially, the Batarians found a dead Reaper and took it for study, but Bryson ran down the bigger lead. What could have killed a Reaper? With the help of Edie, we uncover intel that Bryson's research assistant Garneau is out looking for something, so we piece together his location and head to find him. We end up on a mining facility on an asteroid that's under Reaper attack. Once we get in, it's immediately apparent something isn't right as everyone is acting extremely odd, even going so far as to disable the elevator. We can get the elevator repaired and head down to the facility after piecing together a way through security and into the medical wing. We find someone claiming to be Garneau, but also acting very strange. It's clear very fast he isn't who he says he is, as he takes off for the mines, leading you outside into the waiting arms of more Reaper forces. Get past the troops and you'll find the imposter in the mines, and he'll detonate a bomb, killing himself as well as destroying a Leviathan artifact in the process. If your weirdness scale wasn't already on the high end, the staff will snap to their senses and reveal they've been blacked out for the last 10 years. The plot is officially thickened from soup to chowder levels as we head back to the lab. Back at Bryson's lab, we erect shielding around the artifact and start looking for another clue. A message from his daughter on the answering machine informs us she's also on the hunt, and we narrow down her location using context clues from her assigned project. Once we get a location, we head to the dig site to find that it's, you guessed it, under attack by Reapers. It's a fun little run through the collapsing camp as you test out your parkour skills. You stumble on some ancient artwork on the walls that will indicate you're on the right path. Some more parkour and some scary monsters later, you'll reach Anne before moving for extraction. You'll witness a Reaper Marauder seemingly linked to the artifact before the good doctor is taken over, commenting on the Reapers knowing too much. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached peanut butter levels of thickness in this plot. Destroy the artifact and wade into the enemies while waiting for Cortez to land the shuttle. Make her contractually required escape under fire before breaking the news to Anne about her father. Considering everything going on, she takes it pretty well. When we get back to the lab, the doctor will suggest without any more leads, the best plan of action will be to allow Leviathan to take her over through the artifact and trace the signal. It's a pretty insane plan, but so is everything we do, and without a better idea, we have to go for it. Leviathan slams Anne, and you're giving 2 renegade prompts to delay raising the shield so you can narrow down the search further. She won't die if you do, but James will judge you, although I'm not sure how much I care about his opinion. Once you've tracked him down, you'll fly to Leviathan's location and take the shuttle down to the surface, which actually isn't under Reaper attack. This time, space magic hits you like a truck, sending you crashing into the surface. You'll explore the ship as Cortez attempts shuttle repairs, and it appears this was the fate of every ship to have landed here, slowly becoming indoctrinated by Leviathan until they starved or killed each other. It's a grim fate that I wouldn't wish on anybody, effectively taking us to cold peanut butter levels of thickness. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it said cold peanut butter. We're talking summer ray levels of thickness. And just in time as the Reapers come flying in, so we have to defend the shuttle until Cortez can take off again before promptly crashing again. Great flying. Nah, I'm just kidding, it was space magic again. We come up with a new plan to use one of the diving mechs to head beneath the waves and find Leviathan. So we balance taking power cells to charge the hangar doors and fending off Reaper troops. Once we get into the mech, we'll defeat the rest of the troops before having Cortez inspect it for the dive. No time to waste, we'll head deep beneath the waves as the depth leaves us dark and alone. It's a beautifully made scene that reminds me of Subnautica. You won't have to go far before you find what you've been looking for this whole time as Leviathan rises to greet you. It's not long, so I'm going to let it play.
I had to find you.
This is not your domain. You have breached the darkness.
You killed a Reaper. I need to know why.
They are the enemy. One that seeks our extermination.
But I thought you were a Reaper.
They are only echoes. We existed long before.
Then what are you?
Something more. Your mind belongs to me. Breathe. Before the cycles, our kind was the apex of life in the galaxy. The lesser species were in our thrall, serving our needs. We grew more powerful and they were cared for, but we could not protect them from themselves. Over time, the species built machines that then destroyed them. Tribute does not flow from a dead race. To solve this problem, we created an intelligence with a mandate to preserve life at any cost. As the intelligence evolved, it studied the development of civilizations. Its understanding grew until it found a solution. In that instant, it betrayed us. It chose our kind as the first harvest. From our essence, the first Reaper was created. You call it Harbinger.
How did the intelligence defeat you?
To find a solution, it required information. Physical data drawn from organic life in the cosmos. It created an army of pawns that searched the galaxy, gathering this data. There was no warning. No reason given when they turned against us. Only slaughter. Only the harvest. Nothing will change.
You're responsible for this. Every race that's ever been destroyed is because of you. And now the Reapers will destroy you too. Unless you start fighting. Even if you survive the battle today, the Reapers won't stop. Ever. Release me and we have a chance to end this, once and for all. I've earned it. Out there fighting, where you should be.
It is clear why the Reapers perceive you as a threat. Your victories are more than a product of chance. We will fight, but not for you or any lesser race. We were the first, the apex race. We will survive. And the Reapers who trespass on this world will understand our power. They will become our slaves. Today, they pay their tribute in blood.
Overall, this DLC really encompasses what made Mass Effect so special. While the gameplay sections may fall short, the story is complex and interesting. The history of the Reapers is scarily human as you find out the race of Leviathan stood tall at the top of the food chain only to create the means for their own destruction. They thought they found the answers when they didn't even understand the question they were asking. Shepard does what he does, bringing the greatest powers of the universe to bear against the Reapers. Sometimes revealing the origin of a great and mysterious power can lead to ruining what made it great, but I think BioWare nailed this. To me, the concept that the doom of the galaxy was simply a mistake that we could easily make again looms over me like a warning that success might not mean winning. It also opens up cool dialogue with the Catalyst, so all in all, I'd call it a win. Last but certainly not least, we'll be looking at Citadel, which is what inspired this entire series in the first place. Oh god, where to even start with this masterpiece? Guess we'll go through the story and I'll wax lyrical later. Anderson gives us his private apartment on the Citadel to use to recharge our batteries. After exploring a little bit, we'll be pinged by Joker for lunch at some fancy sushi place. The doorman will wave us in and we'll sit down to catch up with Joker, who thanks us for the invite. If that already wasn't a bad sign, the Alliance rep runs up to tell us someone is after us. Before she can get into too many details, we get our first example of exactly what kind of adventure this is going to be.
Excuse me, you don't have a reservation.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's performance is brought to you by Random Acts of Violence.
Get down.
Man, I love show business. Spread out, boys. Find me Shepard.
Stay there. I'm coming. Joker?
Ow, my pancreas.
Hey!
Damn it.
Got one, sir.
Find the crew. I'm going after her.
Find the crew. Got it. You used me as bait?
Go.
You used me as bait!
Fight your way to Brooks and you'll promptly fall through the fish tank. You'll fight your way through a set of markets that feel oh so cyberpunk, filled with a ton of hilarious messages you can read along the way, from not licking the fruit to blacking out from an ACL tear after doing something extreme! It's all great. Use your Spectre access to get across the bridge and into the Sky Car lot where you'll meet your love interest.
Having a bad day, Shepard?
After getting the shop owner to open the door, you'll run to the C-Sec shuttle only to find yourself ambushed. Thankfully, you got yourself a surprise visitor. I'm sorry, man. I love every part of this. As you fight off the mercs waiting for Joker, you can actually destroy the sky cars in the lot, which will lead to the owner screaming in despair from the back of the shop. Get out of there and back to the hideout, and you'll look for a clue to your attacker by tracing the origins of the awesome pistol he pulled off one of the mercs. Seriously, it's probably the best gun in the game. While the R works, you can see what your crew thinks about your little escapade through the markets.
Back during my pilgrimage, I used to walk around near that sushi place and watch the fish through the window. I knew they'd never let me inside, but I think to myself, someday, when I've proven my worth to the galaxy, I'll go there for dinner. And then, you broke their floor.
Do they even have food you can eat there?
Not the point, Shepard.
You'll track the gun to a casino-owning weapons dealer who happens to be throwing a party tonight. Grab your tux, boys, we're going clubbing. You and your crewmate will mingle and work as needed while Brooks crawls through the vent system to get behind security. There's a bunch of hilarity involved in the mingling, but I'll keep it to my favorite idiot.
I love roulette. Every minute is more exciting than the next.
Should I point out the flaw in that statement?
Oh, are you like one of those detail people? Come on, even diamonds have flaws, but that doesn't make them less valuable.
Work your way through the security system and you'll find out the arms dealer will be slightly dead, as most people are. You'll get a call from your mysterious attacker before shit-talking a little bit, grabbing whatever info you can off the computer and heading back to the hideout. Edie and Brooks will find out the target is the Council Archives, which is a huge facility, so you break up your whole crew into 3 teams and head off to handle this shit, right after you pay the pizza guy. You blow your way in and it doesn't take more than a few minutes before you're staring down the barrel of a couple dozen mercs and your attacker is, you. Yeah, watch this and then we can talk about it.
I never hide.
Uh-huh. So that's how it's gonna be.
Who are you? You weren't the only Shepard that Cerberus brought back to life. but at least one of us will finally do something with it.
Where did you come from?
The same DNA as you.
A clone.
Yeah, so Shepard has a clone, and if that surprises you, then you haven't really been paying attention to the state of the galaxy. It's a lot like 2020, really. The mission only gets better from here. It's a great run through the archives, the squad making fun of Shepard and his clone, funny clips from the mercs, and even complaints about shooting people on a ladder being dirty play. Once you get into the archives themselves, you can find some really cool info about the galaxy. Most of it you knew, but with video or audio you've never had access to before. Glyph even finds himself an Elcor mating totem. Can't even say that word. Elcor mating totem. You can even find some of the early deliberation involving Shepard's appointment to Spectre status. Fight through the mercs and you'll find yourself trapped in a vault as your clone reveals himself and Brooks will be working together the whole time. Shepard expresses his displeasure with the two and we get this hilarious section as they're sealed away.
I should go.
Farewell, Commander. I guess this is where legends go to die.
Refresh my memory. Didn't we used to win these things back in the old days?
He said, I should go. Do I sound like that?
As long as I've known you, yeah.
Crazy thought, but maybe we should be worrying about this impregnable vault we've been sealed inside forever.
I'm more confident than he is. More in control. With me, it's more like, that's all for now.
Spoken like a Krogan. Show him who's boss.
Probably not a lot of air in here either. An hour, if we're lucky.
Or sometimes, I'll talk to you later. Because you know what? I never do. Leave him wanting more.
Shepard, please, why aren't you more worried about this?
Oh, Glyph, you still out there?
Yes, Commander.
Unlock this damn thing and go find the others. No one steals my ship. Not even me.
Grab your crew and for the love of God take EDI and I'll show you why.
Shepard, your clone has entered the ship and is attempting to...
She's supposed to do that?
I'm okay.
You can't tell me that's not comedy gold! Push through the docking bay and get to the Normandy before it can take off and we can get even more gold with Trainer wanting to know why the fuck you just fired her.
Shepard's got a clone. Makes sense when you think about it.
Creep your way under the deck and blast the mercs before checking on critical items such as Private Campbell's favorite mug and your hamster.
Please send this to an animal shelter for proper disposal, as a warship is not an appropriate... Oh, that is not okay. You messed with my hamster, guys. Now it's personal. Guys? Were you gonna say something, or... No, I get it. Hard to even find the words. Should we check on my fish? Because if he's getting rid of all the pets... we should probably deal with him first, huh? Alright, sit tight, little guy. Anybody gives you trouble, go for the eyes.
You get to the cargo bay to face off with your clone and, well, Shepard sums it up pretty well.
Well, that's creepy.
It's not a bad fight, but just like you, your clone will spam metagel when it gets close to dying, and you get to live through the frustrations of higher level enemies. Burn through his metagel supply and you'll trigger the cutscene where you get a really good analogy for Shepard's strength, as in his moment of weakness, the crew comes to his rescue. Oh, and the clone dies either way, so boot his ass yourself. All that's really left is Brooks and a crummy merc pilot. EDI's got him covered, and while you could keep Brooks alive for the 15 war asset points, this is more appropriate.
You'll miss me.
Not at this range, I won't.
Joker suggests a party, and well, we'll get to that in a minute, but first we're going to go over the side stories. Fun or thoughtful, and what the Silver Sun strip has to offer. Thankfully, these for the most part are short, so I can just show you clips, but to cover it in the basic premise, you'll be meeting the majority of your squad mates, past or present, once in your apartment and once outside, with some exceptions. To keep the vibes up, I won't be going over the memorial service for Thane, although it was a touching moment. There's also a casino heist you can catch Kasumi and her crew involved in that you turn a blind eye to. Head over to the arcade and you can catch the legendary bounty hunter and founder of the Blue Sun, Saeed Masani, being bested by a claw game. Oh yeah, and EDI proposes to you. So let's look at some of the funniest ones in the area. We'll start off with one of the first ones available, as Javik has been invited to act in the new Blasto vid.
Very well. Commander Shepard and Prothean partner of undetermined ethnic origin. Welcome to the Spectre Club.
You know what, Blasto? I think you're just a big, stupid jellyfish. How did you become a Spectre?
I am not just a Spectre. I am an Ultra Spectre Elite 7000 Deluxe, now with less recoil and faster load time.
Where is the airlock so I may throw you out of it?
We don't have a prop for that. Cue the sound effects.
Next we have Mr. James Vega, who comes all the way to your apartment to show you this new tattoo, which by itself isn't very interesting, but when he finds your home gym, he'll hang around your punching bag, which gives you a prompt to hop on the pull-up bar. This is the single most unimportant challenge you can take in this game, if not any game ever, and I love it. James will explain his personal record is 182 and challenges you to beat it, and if you feel so inclined, you can hit the action prompts and do so. You can hit the action prompts 182 times in a row without missing one. Now to be clear, you don't gain anything from this. You don't get a melee damage increase, it doesn't come up in conversation later down the road, you don't even get a fucking achievement. There is nothing to prove to your friends that you pushed mouse 1 and mouse 2 for an uninterrupted 13 minutes and 5 seconds, and yet I don't have a single friend that's played through the DLC and hasn't completed it. It's pointless, time-consuming, irritating, and I love it every single time. Next up, we've got trainers showing up for what I can only describe as a hilarious cliche.
Oh, don't worry. You'll be free to join your friend in 20 moves or fewer. To Sousa. Trainer, would you like to just give me your frigates now? I always take them sooner or later.
Polgara to Sousa. She's knocked me out of 4 tournaments.
Specialist?
Commander?
Kick her ass.
Roger that.
Last but not least, we get a call from Mom. This is for the veterans of the series that never bothered to play as a spacer. Enjoy.
Hi, Mom.
Oh, honey. Oh, it's so good to hear your voice.
This is a surprise. It's been a long time.
It has. I just felt I needed to... I think about you every day. I try not to worry. The other day, I was remembering the bedtime stories we used to make up. You had your own ship and crew. The stories were always filled with adventure and danger.
Oh, yeah. Haven't thought about that in a while.
Me neither. Oh, you'd always swoop in to punish the bad guys to save the day. So, there you are. Even when you were little, you dreamed of the life you have.
Is that the reason you wanted me to call?
No. I just want you to know that I am proud of you, son. So proud.
Thanks, Mom.
I have to go.
I know.
Be safe. Please. Goodbye, sweetheart.
Heartstrings firmly tugged, we'll head over to the combat simulator in the Armax Arsenal Arena. Remember when I said if you want to play Pinnacle Station Mass Effect, just wait for the Citadel DLC? Well, here it is. A nostalgic run through the combat arenas of your choice with almost every squad member you've ever had. It's a super fun section. You'll be able to go in and play with all your friends who weren't able to join you aboard the Normandy for your final adventure, like Jack, Zaid, and even Rex. You'll also get really cool side objectives in the form of fan mail that you can work through and complete, from fighting Cerberus with the Alliance crewmates, to soloing a Reaper invasion for a terminally ill child. And if you hate yourself, both figuratively and literally, you can play a mirror match and learn what it's like to be an enemy of Shepard. There's also a really cool mini quest line where you help diagnose a bug in the system, trialing different combinations until you break the simulator. It's a super fun run through while also being a massive pain in the ass. You'll face pretty much every enemy type thrown at you at once, from Geth Primes to Praetorians, as the environment has a stroke. It took me 3 tries to get through it, as the technicians send you messages through the round announcing VI. Beat it and it'll be available as a selectable challenge to replay at a whim. Overall, a fantastic addition that I'm surprised we didn't end up paying extra for. With everything else on the strip done, it's time to throw one last party, so invite everyone, let's get it going. It'll start over rather quiet as you roam around, mingling with your friends. There's some great banter and camaraderie going on, but I suggest you exhaust the first round of conversation options, and then turn it up and continue to do so. Some of the highlights for me in the first half were Jack and Miranda finally getting along as they go back and forth with friendly jabs, James trying to convince some of the galaxy's strongest biotics that biotics are overrated, Joker being berated for not carrying a sidearm as Rex declares it as a man emergency, Zaid hitting on Samara with a confusing level of success, and to top it off, a conversation between Edie and Trainer going so wrong, Tally poisons herself to get out of it.
Would you like me to play back my recordings of your statements?
Told you. Tali, please stop helping.
What? You're crazy.
What's wrong, you two?
I am asking Specialist Trainer about why she found my voice sexually attractive.
This is a really good cheese, Shepard. I put some in through the filters. Is it organic?
On one occasion, you said that you wanted to, quote, pin my voice against the wall and run your tongue along its collarbone.
Well, there's a context there that... you were talking about quantum entanglement, and I didn't know you were an AI.
There's some kind of herb in the cheese that I can't quite place. Is it sage or basil?
Anyway, I was just joking. You know, stress of the retrofits and...
Really? My diagnostics suggested that you were genuinely aroused.
It's really rare to get herbed dextro cheeses. The Turians almost never bother.
You have diagnostics. Cerberus programmed you to check body language.
I get more reliable results measuring pupil dilation and thermal readings of erogenous zones.
Oh, good lord.
Wait, this is dextro cheese, right? Keela, did I forget to scan the cheese? This is why I don't drink.
Fair's fair, Trainer. Edie has a right to ask about what you said.
I was very interested in Trainer's ability to develop sexual feelings for what was, at the time, a bodiless voice.
You are all terrible. Edie, I apologize for saying that I wanted to roll naked with your voice in satin sheets.
Oh, I was not offended. In fact, it was flattering.
Even the part where I wanted to grab your voice by the hair and nibble my way down its back.
I do not, in fact, remember you saying that, Samantha.
Oh, that wasn't out loud. Never mind.
Don't mind me. I'm just going to run a toxin treatment program, so I don't die.
On our last mood change, we'll have Glyph get people up and dancing as the music pops up and the drinks kick in, leading to all kinds of calamities. To start, you've got the old boys doing target practice on the bar, which can only go well, as even Javik starts to cut loose. With a little prodding, you can get Joker to snap a few shin bones while dancing with Edie. Shepard hops into a circle to show off his notoriously bad dancing skills, but I mean, damn Tally, shake them hips. You find Kasumi rummaging through your underwear drawer before thanking you for a great time she's having. Grunt is getting ahead on the hangovers everyone will be feeling tomorrow as he describes his attitude towards lettuce.
Damn your lettuce.
James gets a ride on the blue side before hitting the most amazing dance moves I've ever seen. Honestly, I'm mesmerized every time. Like, my guy, if I had 30% of the confidence needed to dance like that, I'd be a millionaire by now. Finish off the night with a group photo before heading to bed. You'll wake up the next morning next to your romance partner before going around exploring the damage the party caused to your crew. Ironically, I think Javik got the worst of it as he freaks out on your bathroom floor. Also, don't miss the data pad on the floor next to your bed as it contains messages from Morden, which are always welcome. Eventually, it all has to end as you head back to the Normandy as you're left to enjoy one of the best soundtracks in gaming as the soft melody warms my heart every time. God, I've just got so much to say about Citadel. As mentioned before, it spawned the entire series I put before you guys. It also inspired the name of the series as I discussed it with a friend. I told him Citadel was a love letter to loyal fans of the series, and I wanted to write BioWare one back. I have such a hard time with criticism of Mass Effect 3 because it's so clear it's a labor of love from so many. Sure, it felt rushed, because it was, with a much shorter development cycle than this deeply loved creation deserved. But I can feel the love drip through the pages. Every single scene in these lovely hours elicits a smile I so rarely find gracing my lips in this cruel world we inhabit. The main plot was dark and heavy, so to live through a comedy for a couple of hours, and to do it with the family I've spent so long with, just downright makes me happy. I've played through the game dozens of times just to get to Citadel and enjoy one last adventure as one of the most heartfelt send-offs to a franchise I've ever seen. No one walked away from this unhappy, and that's why I say you should leave the party as the very last thing you do in the game. In my eyes, it's the ending BioWare envisioned for us. They are the crew and we are Shepard, as we say goodbye to this journey we all went on together. Thank you, BioWare.
I suppose it's back to the fight.
At least we threw one hell of a party. Probably the last one.
You may be right. But whatever happens, I know you'll see this through. And I'll be right there with you. We've been through a lot, haven't we? But it's been a good ride.
The best.
All that being said, I just want to say how much I enjoyed Mass Effect 3 and the hundreds if not thousands of hours I've spent with it. From curing the Genophage, to bartering peace between the Geth and Quarians, to the fall of Thesia, destruction of Cerberus, and retake of Earth, every moment was made special by what came before. I'll admit, if you took the game by itself and played it without knowledge of the other two, you would probably look down on it. But like all great stories, Mass Effect was told in 3 pieces, and they are greater than the sum of their parts. From start to finish, if looked at as a whole, it's a truly beautiful arc for the universe, the characters, and Shepard. And if you hate it, that's fine. I think you're wrong, and I'd love to prove it to you, but it's okay, because I'm going back to Stake Bentley on this one. Art should not denote quality. Art is anything that can communicate an idea. It can be art and still be bad. BioWare chiseled out a sculpture just for me, and I'll have it to enjoy until the end of my years. If you stuck around this long, I'd truly like to say thank you. I've made these videos for myself and no one else, but if even just one person can enjoy them, well, that's just icing on the cake. As far as Andromeda goes, I have some very strong feelings about it, and I'd prefer to stay positive about the topics I cover, but I'll make you a deal. I'll leave a pinned comment below, and the day it gets 100 likes, I'll start on that game. For now, I've got a list of games I want to start on, so I'll begin working on those. Thank you to Emilio Martinez for joining me as I recorded multiplayer footage, and Retronyash for the Longplay audio I used when my save recording software shit the bed. If you'd like to discuss the game, hop into a game of multiplayer, or use any of the footage I gathered in the making of this, or even just need a friendly ear to listen to you, just click the link in my Discord below and post in the Mass Effect chat or send Purple PP a direct message. I'd be happy to talk with you. Well, I guess that's really it. This has been a long journey and I'm really happy with how it came out. I'm sure I could have done better and I hope I'll do better in the future, but for now, I'm happy. This is Purple signing off. Have a wonderful day and always remember to smile.